something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this. And it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media, share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone, but do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are going to be talking about a super interesting subject. Yo, especially if we get some women reacting in real time. Okay, a super interesting subject. We're going to talk about being feminine is hard work, y'all. We're going to talk about being feminine is hard work. Okay, and I know some people may say, well, can't be hard work. Nah, everything, y'all, everything is relative, okay? Everything is relative, but there is a certain relativity to femininity being hard work. But we're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to get into that in a minute. But before we get into that, first, we got to give credit where credit is due. And we got some great folks who, y'all, I appreciate the folks who give me the views. I appreciate that, y'all. You know, I know there's some people out there who watch, don't say nothing. They just be in the clouds sometime, maybe even catch the live, but never say a word. Look, I appreciate everybody who gives me the views. Thank you very much, okay? All right? I appreciate everybody who makes comments after the stream, okay? Those are helpful. Very helpful when people make comments after the stream. So thank you very much for the folks who do that. There's folks who hit that like button, which is a tremendous help. And y'all, no matter how old the stream is, make sure you hit that like button, okay? Make sure you hit that like button. And like I said, there's some new stuff now where you can hype a person. Okay, so y'all make sure y'all hype me up. Okay, y'all make sure y'all hype me up. Appreciate that big time. Appreciate that big time. But there are people who go so far above and beyond and do more than that, and those are the financial contributors who allow me to do things the way I do it, because I can't do it the same way without them. I cannot do it the same way without them. Okay. Shout out to Tourism Joe. I just peeped one of the things you said. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at one of the things you said. But shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. So, y'all, I got a person that has really become supportive to the channel. And, it's always great to have people like this because they do stick out. They do stick out. So shout out to Ryan Decipher, who is the sponsor of today's stream. And I've told y'all time and time again, all money on the wood is good. Over here at the Roger Report Live, there's nothing too big or too small. I do appreciate it all. So shout out to Ryan Decipher with the strong support. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Okay. And y'all, we're going to give props to my main man here, because every day anyone can jump in and do what this brother has done. Every day it's available. But only one person can have it, y'all. Every day it's available, but only one person can have it. Shout out to Trail Bentley coming through, representing hashtag long live the habitual line steppers, hashtag Negroes in the wilderness, hashtag dignity over vagina, hashtag Al Gore's baby, hashtag El Hydra. He is our Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to Trail Bentley. Shout out to Trail Bentley. There can only be one, and his name is Trail. Okay, it can only be one, and his name is Trail. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Shout out to Afro Merchant. I see you in the building. Great to have you. Great to have you. The righteous teacher coming in right behind him. What's up? What's up? What's up? Tunnel Runner is in the building. Great to have you, brother. Great to have you. We got Inspired Truth Broadcast who just pulled up a seat at the cool table. The Saute Sheriff is in the house. Mr. Suge to you has checked in. Hopefully everybody's favorite, okay? Smooth brother around here. The one, the only, the pitmaster himself, y'all. We got my man, Chef Mike's Roundtable in the building. Great to have you, of course. Great to have you. We got Brother John in the house. What's happening, my brother? What's happening? Great to see you. Great to see you. I just said something about it. Shout out to Terenzo Jones for being here. Great to have you. Floyd Thompson is here. What's cracking? What's cracking? Patrick Saint, what's up, my brother? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Kanguru is in the house. Great to have you. Great to have you. We got Dolomite also in the building. Good to be here. Good to have you here, brother. Good to have you here. Boot Camp is here as well, y'all. Boot Camp is here as well. So, we about to get into this, y'all. It's great to see you guys as y'all checking in as the show is getting started. And we gonna talk about something that definitely needs to be talked about, because it's sad. We got a sad thing going on in our society right now, y'all. We got a sad thing going on in our society. We got some idiot thoughts out there. We do. We gotta take accountability for the idiot thoughts. Now, I mean, they are personal responsibility, but we got to do something with it, y'all. There is a phrase that has been developed over some time by some lazy, good-for-nothing people. Now, I can't tell you exactly who the lazy, good-for-nothing people is. I can't tell you that exactly, okay? But people started talking about resting in their femininity, okay? Now, this is for lazy people, okay? This is for trifling people, all right? Trifling people, all right? Because you have some women who claim they want to rest in their femininity. Okay? And you really need to ask yourself as a man, how lazy do you want your woman to be? Because if a woman wants to rest in her femininity, she got to be probably the laziest person you're going to come around. Okay? You're gonna have a hard time finding somebody lazier than that. You're going to have a hard time. Real talk. Okay. Because being feminine is hard work. Now, brothers, what I don't want y'all to do is start tripping. Look, everything is relative. Okay. We're talking about for women. I am not saying being feminine is like you as a man going out to be a construction worker. I am not saying that. Okay. I am not saying that. We're talking relativity, y'all. Okay. I am not saying that if you're a firefighter, your job is not a little bit tougher than a woman who's deciding to be feminine. I'm not saying that. It's all relative, okay? But if you are a woman, and you're going to choose to be feminine, it is some hard work, okay? And a lot of guys, and I know this may be why would he do this stream for guys? Because guys need to see how hard it is to be feminine. And guys need to understand you have women who are just being lazy and trying to set you up. And you don't need to fall for it at the end of the day. You don't need to fall for it. Now, I grew up around women too. All right. I grew up around women too. Okay. I got a mama. I got some sisters. I got some aunties. I got some cousins. Bunch of women. Right. Yeah, I had a bunch of being around, but there was women there too. Okay. Even had female friends as I was growing up. Okay, even had female friends when I was growing up. And I don't know, do y'all remember when maybe you had a time in your life where stuff was innocent and you could have a female friend and it wasn't nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't no agendas going on. They just was your friends because they happened to be there on a regular basis. It was a friendship, built on proximity first. Okay, then different interests people had. So I had female friends, a few of them still got. All right, we went to school together. Okay, I was at the same school she was at. I was in the same classroom she was at, and we quote unquote became friends. Okay, back when we was innocent. Okay, before all the sticking and moving started happening. If you know what I mean. Okay, we was just friends. So I done always been around women too. All right. So I know being feminine takes some work. Now, and I'm saying this because you got people out here who want to quote unquote rest in their femininity. That sounds like a lazy broad to me, y'all. That sounds like a lazy broad to me. All right. And that's real talk. Now, why am I saying that? Because let's look at society and look what women have to do to be feminine. All right. Now, I know brothers ain't done it. Okay. Don't expect you to. But there's a transition a lot of women have to make in their younger years. Now, it just so happened, y'all. It just so happened. And God shows me favor, y'all. I keep telling y'all, God shows me favor. He showed me something interesting the other day. Okay. The other day, y'all know you go to a home, right? You ring a bell, knock on the door, you're waiting for somebody to answer, right? Okay. What happens to me, y'all? What happens to me? A woman's walking down the street. If my memory's correct, I think she had a dog. Okay, I think she had a dog and a daughter. Right, woman's walking down the street with what I'm assuming is her dog and her daughter. Okay, white woman though. Okay, white woman. As the white woman was walking down the street with what I assume is her dog and her daughter. Okay, I saw something interesting with the daughter. Now, I don't know. I would guess the daughter, I don't know, 13ish, somewhere around that age. So a lady walking a dog with her daughter, that's no big whoop. Who cares, right? No big whoop. Until they got closer toward me as they're going past where I am. Okay. And I saw the girl walking slightly weird. I'll just say that, slightly weird. Okay. So I look You know, no, you know how you look at a person with a limp or something. Okay, so I look because she walking slightly weird. All right, you know what I see? I see the girl who, like I said, I'm guessing some 13-ish. Okay, I don't know her exact age. I ain't talked to the people. I'm guessing 13-ish. What is she doing with her mom who's walking this dog? She's walking as if she has heels on. Okay. She's walking on the balls of her feet, her toes. I'm assuming so she can get used to walking in heels properly. Okay. Because, of course, when a woman walks in heels, we talk about a feminine woman. You don't see a woman walking strangely. She seems to have mastered the heels. Okay. So the 13-ish, white girl with her mom who's walking the dog is outside with regular shoes on, moving as if she's wearing heels. Okay. Where she's training to wear heels. Hopefully she'll be moving a lot better in the future. Now I ain't gonna make fun of the girl for not being so good at it. Again, she was 13-ish. Okay. So she got some time to get it together. Okay. She got some time to get it together. But it makes sense because if you're 13-ish, you got stuff coming up. And you're somewhat near future when you think about things over a lifetime. Prom will be there in a couple years, and technically, girls can go up to 4 proms. You know, I mean, technically, there's no real limitation on the number, but girls who are in high school could be invited to prom 4 times. She can be invited as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior. Okay. So it ain't like they can't go to multiples. Depending upon your religion, there's different events that women have. I can't think of what it is right now, but what a cotillion. I think that's an event for young ladies. Young ladies do a lot of different things, so it makes sense that when you think about it, it makes sense that the young lady was with her mom, or her mom was walking a dog, and she's walking as if she has heels on, so she can master the walk. You know, when the time comes, she'll be ready. Okay, which is good. That's called practice, y'all. That's what that is, practice. Now, is it easy for a young lady to transition to walking in heels? Nah, I wouldn't assume so. I think that's a little bit of work, especially for a young lady, to get used to walking in heels. I wouldn't want to walk in heels. Women say all the time that, you got to make certain sacrifices, or they say beauty is hard work, whatever the case is. Is walking in heels some hard work? Relatively, yes. If you're a young lady and you're learning how to walk in heels, yeah, relatively that's a little bit of hard work to actually put that training in. Now, my thing is, shout out to the young lady. Hopefully she get it down, and she walks and I won't even notice, or not me, because I probably won't see it again, but no one else will notice her, quote unquote, walking weird. Hopefully she gets it together. I'm sure she will. Hopefully she gets it together. But see, that's something that, unfortunately, it's a reminder of what I don't see Black women doing. That was a reminder of what I don't see Black women doing. You don't see women with their daughters trying to train them to be feminine in some kind of way. Okay. Don't really see it. All right. Now, there's women who like makeup. All right. And as you may know, makeup was basically created so white women could have some color. So while Black women use it, hey, your guess is as good as mine. you know, White women start using makeup because they're not Black. There's no color. Okay. So they use makeup to give themselves some color, to give themselves a look, to increase their levels of beauty. All right. Now, you look at black women. Does black women increase? I mean, does makeup increase black women levels of beauty? I mean, it possibly can. It possibly can. But do black women need it? Not really. Okay. A lot of them look fine without makeup, or makeup doesn't make them look that much better. Okay. I ain't gonna say it don't do anything for some of them, but it don't make them look that much better. All right. But regardless, they like to use it. So now, to properly put on makeup, you actually got to learn what you're doing. Okay. You got to learn what you're doing. All right. Now, this is the thing. Have you seen black women with bad makeup jobs? Yes, I have. I sure have. Okay. Well, number one, I guess technically it's not considered makeup, but you got those eyelashes that I've asked men, and I randomly asked men this. Do you like women with who wear eyelashes? So far, 100% of them have said no. I just asked men this from time to time just to see what they're gonna say. And no matter how many men I've asked, I'm still getting no's 100% of the time. I ain't got one yes yet. Crazy, ain't it? But women insist on wearing them. Okay. Now, some of them got these makeup jobs where, in the corners of their eye, they put something to make it kind of quote unquote shine a little bit, or this different color in the corner of the eye, which looks crazy to me. That looks crazy to me. But maybe there's a guy out there who likes it. I don't know. Do I expect a man to like something like that? Not really. Because it almost looks like it's something in your eye. Okay, so why women are putting makeup to try to make the corner of their eye look shiny as if they woke up with coal in their eye? you know, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. Not at all. Okay. But they do stuff like this so they can learn to be quote unquote feminine. So, you do got to learn to master some makeup a little bit. It takes some teaching. It takes some teaching. Now, shout out to Why Skin a Man Cave. Now, he says, Roger, it's easy to be feminine. Just cook, okay? Give her man sex and shut up. Well, I'm not going to say those aren't things that men want, but that's not going to necessarily classify as feminine. You got to think about that. That don't necessarily classify as feminine. All right? At the end of the day, feminine women stick out amongst black women. Let's be real. Feminine women stick out amongst black women. Now, that is something that should not be able to be said with some level of accuracy. I'm going to say it right now, y'all. That is something that should not be able to be said with some level of accuracy. Why should I not be able to say something like that while also speaking the truth at the same time? Because the average black woman should be feminine. It shouldn't be a thing for me to see a feminine black woman and she stick out because she's feminine. That shouldn't be a thing. Unfortunately, it is a thing. Okay? It's very much a thing. I know it shouldn't be a thing, but it is very much a thing. Okay? Now, what have I said plenty old times, y'all? Plenty old times. Do I notice black women who are not at work? Because now I'm going to give credit what credit is due. You got some black women who do work corporate America. You go downtown, okay? You should see some women in some dresses, some skirts, okay? You will see that from time to time. Now, look, guys, I'm not arguing. Is there women out there with pantsuits on? No, I know there's women out there with pantsuits. I'm not arguing that at all. Okay, I do know they're there. And I know it's a lot of them there too. But if you go downtown, okay, to any major city, look at corporate America, you should be able to see some black women at some point with some skirts on or dresses on. You know, I know it may not be that many of them, but they should be there. All right? They should be there. Now, they're wearing that because, you know, it's quote unquote their work uniform. But when work is over with, do you see women in dresses? Now, I will say this, y'all. I do see some women, like, you know, if you go to the club, right, a lot of women will wear like a mini skirt or something like that. Okay? They'll wear a mini skirt, things like that sometimes. But what are you going to see women in? Mostly, I'm going to say I see women in pants that stretch. Yoga pants, stretch pants, you know, whatever you classify them as, I see a lot of women in those. Okay. I see a lot of women in some jeans. They wear, you know, tight pants to show off their butt, you know, their legs. They're trying to show their body off. All right. All right. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some women who look good in this stuff because, you know, if you like me, you done ran up on a woman or two who had something like that on. Okay. You know, I done ran up on some women with some tight jeans. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay. Now, guys somewhat make a big deal over sundresses. Shout out to Randall Robinson. He say, my fiance wore summer dresses in the summer. Okay, well, let me say this, y'all. Black men, we make a big deal over sundresses. Why do we make such a deal over sundresses? I'm gonna say it's probably because we don't see a lot of women in them. Okay, now the sundress is the dress made to do what it do. We all know what the sundress do. Okay, and there's a reason they're called sundresses because it's designed so when it hit that sunlight the right way, you get that the imagination can get to going. Okay, I just say that. Okay, the imagination can get not necessarily a summer dress, as Randall Robinson says, but I'm talking about a sundress. Okay, they made for specific actions. All right. Why do guys get so excited about sundresses? Because we don't really see women in dresses. Okay, you know, all you gotta do is think about it. Do you normally see sisters in a dress? Now, if you go to the club, somebody gonna have on a mini skirt. I will give them that much credit. Okay, not as many as it used to be, but somebody gonna put on a mini skirt. But generally, we don't see black women in dresses. Now, truth be told, the mini skirt is probably the most you can hope for on a regular basis. Sad to say. Sad to say. So, to be a feminine black woman, you actually got to go out and find some dresses. All right. Now, the thing is, all of them can't be sundresses, or you're going to kind of be saying something about yourself. Okay. So, they can't all be sundresses. And the thing is, do black women even own dresses like that? Do you have any expectations to? I'm not saying somebody showing up in corporate America. I'm not even saying young hoes at the club. I get it. The young hoes, you know, some of them will wear on a mini skirt here or there. Remove the club. Remove corporate America. Do you see them wearing dresses on their own? Now, to me, it seems like there's only one one other place that I see black women who will put on a dress. They literally got to go to church to put a dress on, y'all. Yep. You might see them on a Sunday going to church, and they put on a dress to go to church, and that ain't even though it's not even like that the way it used to be, y'all. It ain't even like that because most of them ain't gonna wear no dress, even going to church. Now I get it. A lot of people, parents are making their kids, they're making their daughters wear dresses when they go to church. So you can see it like that. Okay. So even as they older, they still wear some dresses to church. But yeah, if I want to see a black woman in a dress, it's like I gotta wait till Sunday. You know, or you got to go to corporate America. All right. You got to go to where they performing the duties in the downtown area. Okay. Just is what it is. Okay. Or you got to go to the club, see which hoes coming through with the miniskirts on. That's what you got to do. But to be a regular, normal person, just walking around any regular neighborhood, are you going to see black women in dresses? You probably got to live in a gated community to see that. I'm keeping it real, y'all. You probably got to live in a nice, well-to-do, gated community to see black women in dresses. You probably have to. Okay? Because if you go to the mall, and I know that's turning less and less of a thing, but you ain't going to really see them there. Let's say you go to a movie theater. Okay? You ain't going to really see them there. Let's say you go to a restaurant. You're not really going to see them there. You just don't really see black women in dresses anymore. So in order to be feminine, somebody has to go do the work to go actually find out where some dresses are and purchase them. You got to go actually find a dress to put on, and then take the dress home and actually wear it from time to time. Okay. When y'all were younger, it probably stuck out to you even back then. Did you notice the girls who went to school? You was in grammar school growing up. The girls who wore dresses usually got a little bit more attention from the dudes. Okay. Why? Because they was different. They were different. It wasn't something you saw all the time. All right. There was a few girls who they mamas made them wear dresses to school. They daddy made them wear dresses to school. Just is what it is. And they stuck out. Why? Because they were actually different. Shout out to Mr. Shizzy. He say, Roger, they were wearing lingerie style dresses to funerals, man. In the freaking wintertime. Well, this is the thing, y'all. A lot of black women, they don't really have levels of class. So, that's the best they know how to do when it comes to being appropriate. And it's sad. That's the best they know how to do when it comes to being appropriate. That's a sad thing. And the thing is, being feminine is not a focal point in a lot of black households without a man being present. Okay. If a woman is not raised by her dad, more than likely, femininity is not going to be an issue in her household. And I've done a stream about this before where, I wanted people to really take notice. Feminine women come out of households run by men because men tell their daughters to do feminine things. When you leave a woman to it on her own, she doesn't really teach her daughter how to be feminine. Y'all know enough single mothers out there. I'm sure y'all have seen some single mother homes. Y'all seen the products of single mother homes. Are the women teaching their daughters to be feminine? Because you would think. Now, if you sat down and just logically thought about this, you would assume that a single mother home would produce the most feminine women. See, that thought by itself is a very logical thought. You would assume a single mother home would produce the most feminine women. But that's not the case clearly. Okay? That is not the case clearly. Shout out to Black Uru Strikes. Always good to see you in the building. He says, my 8th grade teacher, a wondrously beautiful and elegant Black woman, required the girls to wear dresses to school. You could do that in a Black school in 1974. Okay? So we're talking about 51 years ago. Okay? 1974, you could do that. And you know what? Things like that have an impact on a person for the rest of their life. Okay? Nice thing to do. Nice thing to do. Okay? Shout out to Black Rule's teacher. Okay? May she rest in peace. I'm going to assume that she may be, now she's a really, really older lady because maybe Black Rule got when she was really young. Hey, shout out to that woman anyway. Okay? But see, things like that we don't really see anymore. You don't see girls with teachers telling them to dress like a girl. So when they become women, they'll be used to dressing like girls as girls, so they'll just naturally start dressing like women. But we don't really see that. Okay? We don't really see that. You know? And it's amazing that you don't see it from a home ran by a woman. That's crazy as I don't know what when you think about it. Okay? Now, being nice. A lot of women take being nice as something that's hard work. Okay? A lot of women take being nice as something that's hard. It's hard work to be nice to people. Okay? Now, I personally don't really see the difficulty in being nice to people. Okay? It's difference between being nice to somebody and letting somebody take advantage of you. Okay? Okay? Shout out to Black Who Strikes and shout out to his teacher. He says, passed just last year. I owe her a lot. Well, may she rest in paradise. May she rest in paradise. Okay, so I guess she had a nice, decent, long life. Okay, you know, shout out to you, Black Who Strikes, for even knowing that she passed last year. Because, you know, I got a lot of old teachers. I wouldn't know when they passed. You know, that's real talk. Okay, and shout out to Kevin 3905. He said, nice. Roger, you are asking for too much. Am I truly asking for too much? You know, a woman to be nice, should that be too much? See, that's the question. Should that be too much? Is being nice too much? Is being nice in public too much? Yeah. I mentioned this before on past streams, y'all. I had a friend, okay, a woman, okay, feminine woman. She said for 2 months she was gonna make an effort to just generally be nice to every Black man she came across, y'all. And Black men she came across regularly, they was confused. All right, they were confused. Now I do want to say this does speak to something. Does speak to something. Okay, she was moving about, going here and going there as she was working, y'all. And she deliberately made an effort to be nice to every Black man she came across. And there was some places that she would go to regularly. You know, there's a certain buildings. She would go to these buildings on a regular basis. So, you know, you'll have like doorman working buildings and things like that. She said after a while, people started asking questions to her like, what the heck is going on with you? The men got confused about why she was just being nice on a regular basis, and then there was these age gaps, and there was men who had no real expectation that she would be interested in them. Some older gentlemen, they got families and married and all that type of stuff. They not even looking at her like a sexual interest type of thing. But they were honestly confused so much by her coming. Now she said she did this for 2 months, y'all. Multiple men pulled her to the side or asked her when they were just by themselves and asked them what is going on. They were literally confused by her just being nice on a regular basis, that the men had to question her on why she was being nice to them. Yeah, I want y'all to think about that. You got black men who worked in certain places where she would go to regularly in this 2-month span. She said it was buildings she was going into that people lived in. There was some office buildings she would go to that people worked in. There was these different type of places that she would go to. And she said multiple men had to ask her, like, what the heck is going on with her? Because they're trying to figure out why she being so nice. And honestly, when you think about what they were asking, they could not figure out why some random black woman would be nice to them who don't have a sexual interest in them. They didn't even take it as they had a sexual interest. So they were that she had a sexual interest in them. So they were completely confused. And you got to be confused to a certain point to end up asking the woman what the heck is going on. Because to her, well, to them, she's just some random woman. She just doing her job, and she comes to this particular place from time to time. So to those guys, she's just some random woman. But multiple men had to ask her what the heck is going on with her, because they were just that confused. Now, I'm going to say it's a sad commentary when you think about it, that random men who happened to run into a black woman on a regular basis got confused because she was being nice. That's sad when you think about it. Okay, that is sad. Okay, a black woman being nice to them caused them to start questioning what was going on. Okay, that's what we saying, y'all. A random black woman being nice to these gentlemen. These gentlemen are at work doing whatever they got to do. They being doormen, being security officers, just random black men that she would come across in house, because of her job at the time. And the men got confused. Now, shout out to Black Rule Strikes. He says, black women being nice to black men, that must be a government op. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe that's how they took it, Black Rule. Some random black woman just being nice. So I must be being watched. Am I on the list somewhere? Is the jig up? They must be coming to take me out. She must be a spy. Oh, because a random woman being nice to me. I'm a black man, she a black woman. This ain't supposed to be happening. That's crazy, y'all, when you think about it. That's crazy. See, in their mind, they said this ain't supposed to be happening. Okay? That's what happened in their minds. Now, the thing is, this was multiple men who ain't never met each other. Okay? Multiple men who haven't talked to each other, ain't met each other at all. Okay? And they're confused because this young black woman is treating black men nicely on a regular basis. Okay, this is confusing to them. Okay, this is confusing. But that says something about the world that black men live in. Okay, it says something about the world of black men live. And I've actually had women say, because I've talked to women about, just being nice in general. I have heard black women say, I ain't being nice to no man. He may think I'm interested. Women have literally said this to me on multiple occasions, y'all. Women who don't know each other. They have literally said, I ain't being nice to no nigga. He may think I'm interested. And I'm sitting there like, so you only nice to a man you interested in? They on some, did I stutter? I mean, that ain't how she said it. Whatever, but she might as well have said it like that. She might as well have said it like that. Did I stutter? I'm only being nice to a man that I'm interested in. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. But y'all, it's the type of things that go on in their heads, man. The type of things that go on in their heads. Now, how you gonna be feminine but not be nice? Okay. How you gonna be feminine but you're not gonna be nice? That's an interesting way to move about the world. Trying to be feminine, but also trying not to be nice. Okay. Now, shout out to Black Group Strikes one more again. He said, but those same black women would cheese and smile all in the faces of some white men. Hey, you know what it is. You know what it is, y'all. Listen to the elders. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Listen to the elders. Because he's right. He's right. 100% right. And I've literally seen them do it. I've literally seen them do it. Okay, literally. All right, same woman I done had a talk to talking about, she talking about I'm only nice to men I'm interested in. Okay, I ain't gonna be nice because they gonna think I'm interested. Yeah, that was one that took took the cake. If you ask me, when women told me I'm not gonna be nice because he might think I'm interested, I was like, dang. So just a nice high and by is crazy, huh? No, he might want my phone. I'm like, y'all know men, just being nice to women is like it's like a normal thing, right? It's like a normal thing, okay? They like, no, we not doing that. Okay. So they do make an effort to make sure they're not nice to you. Okay. Black women make an effort to make sure they do not come across black men and do things where they can be accused of being nice. Do y'all understand that? Black women make an effort to make sure they do not do things where you could accuse them of being nice. The last thing they want a black man to do is accuse them of being nice to them. That's what they do not want to happen. Now, this is crazy, but that's what they don't want to happen. They don't want to put a black man in a position that he could accuse her of being nice to him. That's amazing. Okay. Shout out to Kevin 3905. He said next thing Roger gonna want is for black women to start smiling. This is the Twilight Zone. Oh, well, you know what, Kevin? Would it be so bad if women would just smile? Would it be so bad? Would that really be so bad? Shout out to Mr. Shooty. He say they only care about the opinions of men that make them tickle. Rogerism. Hey, y'all, I'm just telling y'all what came out. Okay, I'm just telling y'all what came out. I didn't expect to hear no answer like that when I asked them questions. I didn't expect to hear those answers, but these were the answers I was given. What you want me to do about it? I'm just telling y'all what he said. What you want me to do about it? before I heard something like that, I never would have considered that as a real thing, that black women purposely make an effort to make sure that black men cannot accuse them of being nice to him. It sounds crazy. Still sound crazy to this day. And I heard this so long ago, it's amazing. But that still sounds crazy to this day. And you know what's really crazy about it? They always want brothers to be nice to them. They want brothers to be nice to them. But they literally make an effort to not be nice to the brothers. But they swear they want men to be nice to them. Crazy work. So being nice is work for a black woman, y'all. Being nice is work for a black woman towards a black man. Okay? Towards a black man. So there's a price she has to pay to be nice to you. What will her friends think? What's going on with you, girl? I heard you was out in the streets being nice to them niggas. I heard you was out here being nice to random niggas. What is wrong with you? What you mean? I'm just trying to be a good person. You don't go out there being nice to niggas. You gonna ruin our reputation. Y'all, it's crazy out here. They worried about their reputation being ruined because they being nice to niggas. Okay? All right. So, I guess in the black woman's world, you're taking all kinds of risks to be nice to random dudes, okay, that happen to be black. I guess it's a risk of some kind. Maybe they put you in a corner for 30 seconds and go at it. I don't know. They ain't told me that much yet. All right, so you got to wear a little makeup. All right, you wear some dresses. You actually learn to be nice to random black men that you're not actually sexually interested in. You actually learn to be nice to them simply because you're a nice person, or you want to be perceived as a nice person. So you're going to be nice to random black men, the men you don't necessarily have a sexual interest in. I guess for women, that's hard work. Okay. I guess for women, that is truly hard work. But shout out to the women that do it. Okay. Okay. Because there are some sisters out there that are nice to random men. Okay. Shout out to those women. Okay. That don't see being nice to a random black man as some kind of chore. Okay. Shout out to all those sisters because, they stick out. Let's keep it real, y'all. They stick out. When you come across a black woman just being, naturally nice to you, and you're not doing anything amazing, just being a black man, they stick out. We notice them. Okay. We very much notice these women. So, I know obviously it's a cardinal sin amongst black women. But thank you to all the black women who are nice to the random brother. Okay. I'll say it. Thank you to all the black women who are nice to the random brother. All right. That's cool. Appreciate that. Y'all keep up the good work. Okay. Keep up the good work. All right. All right, y'all. Mr. X coming through. Just dropped the link and boom, Mr. X is coming through immediately. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give Mr. X the floor and let's see where he want to go with this conversation. But we're going to get back to more of this. Being feminine is hard work. Mr. X, how you doing, brother? You have the mic.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning to you, Roger. First of all, I just want to, do a quick check. I'm on a different device, so am I coming in loud and clear?
Loud and clear, brother. You sound great.
Okay, outstanding, outstanding. Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I was listening to your commentary. Again, I like your format because it allows me to do some stuff in the background, get some things done, and listen to your show, and get some Rogers, a bit of Rogers wisdom early in the morning. So check this out. As it relates to this thing about being being feminine, it's hard, or So now here's what I have heard women say, and I do agree with this. I have heard women say, it's hard being a woman sometimes. And then when they explain, what, because I go, because and I don't mean to diminish women and the stuff that they go through. Because I say, all you guys got to do is just get with the right group of men, and your life is kind of on easy mode. It's easy being a woman. And then women will explain to me, well, okay, you got a point there, Kev, but there's some times where it's not easy, and then they explain to me, their little situations and stuff like that. All right, but as far as this topic, femininity, okay, femininity is a naturally occurring condition, right, for women. Now, here's where you have some issues and problems. Is that when you have what you call it, a harsh environment. What is that? What is that called? What is it called? Nature over nurture. What do they call that? It's a psychological behavior thing. It's a behavioral thing. Nurture over nature, or something like that. Something as it relates to your environment. If you're in an environment that causes you to behave in a certain way, it takes you out of your natural and normal condition, then you're going to present differently. So the worse the environment, the more dangerous the environment, the more hostile the environment, the less feminine that you will be as a woman. So and that's my mindset. My mindset is, okay, so when I say this to women, again, it's not me diminishing what they go through as women. I know childbirth is hard. Sometimes dealing with knucklehead men is difficult. There's frustrations as it relates to economics that women go through that men don't necessarily have to experience, and I get all of that. But what I'm saying is that if you are in the right type of environment, then femininity is a naturally occurring behavior. You don't come off as dysfunctional. You don't come off as quote unquote masculine or hard, or something that's not natural to how women are supposed to present themselves. When you think of women, you think of sundresses, with a floral pattern, carrying a nice little cute purse, wearing a sun hat, and walking in a way that's soft and presentable and dainty, and something that women generally do. That's what you think about. So I remember watching this show a long time ago. It was a long, long time ago, and this was long before the internet. This was back in the days of the 1990s with those talk shows. And this woman, she was complaining about black men. Black men. The whole topic was black men not dating black women, and going outside the race, whatever, whatever. That's been a topic for forever now. But the way she came off didn't sit right with me, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this woman, and the way that she's talking, and the way that she's sitting, and the way that she's presenting herself. And it was just this hard, difficult, combative demeanor. And I was like, well, heck, I wouldn't want to be with you either. Just the way you're presenting yourself. So when women do that, you know, they're making themselves, they're making a case for themselves for men to actually avoid them, not interact with them, and look at them not as, like a naturally occurring feminine woman. I'll go ahead and land right there. I'll let you respond. Roger?
My bad. I was responding without still on mute. I do appreciate what you said, and I'm gonna say that when you were talking about how the environment can have an effect, and you were talking about nature versus nurture. Because we live in an American society, when it's about how women act, if a woman's not acting feminine, to me it just sounds like excuses. We just don't, in America, we don't have those harsh environments where women have to go through some level of trouble to be feminine. Like, there's no American neighborhood that people live in where women just can't be feminine. That's not here
Yeah,
and nowhere in this country. Okay.
yeah, the only thing I will say to that is there's some exceptions to that, but you're right. The rule is generally women have a pretty decent life if they're around the right type of people, even if they're not surrounded by men, but they're just in a nice, calm, relatively safe environment. The femininity comes out. It's naturally occurring. You
What
don't
I'm
have to
saying,
force it, none of that stuff.
in an American context,
Hmm.
there's no neighborhood that black women live in that they just can't be feminine, because we're not in Alaska. You're not bundled up where can't nobody see you being feminine. Okay, and real talk, even the last, I'm pretty sure that once them ladies go into the igloo, I'm pretty sure some femininity comes out at the end of the day. I understand you may not be able to see it when she outside with the big old winter coat on and all that, but she go into the home, okay. Yeah, and I'm not saying they all live in igloos, but igloos do keep heat, from what I'm told. But when they're in a home environment, I'm pretty sure even then, they act pretty feminine at that particular point. So all I hear is excuses. That's what I'm saying. There's people in the world of psychology who look to try to make excuses for women. If you cannot be feminine as a woman, well, first of all, if you can't be feminine as a woman, let me say this. You are literally injured. Okay. If you cannot express femininity, you are injured. There's no way you can be a capable woman and not be able to express femininity. And I understand psychologists, they do things for a reason. That's all I'm gonna say. They do things for a reason. To me, there's literally no excuse for a woman not to be feminine. You can be feminine no matter what you're doing, no matter where you at. An astronaut can still be feminine. She can still speak to other astronauts in a delicate, loving, nice way, even if she's an astronaut. There's literally no excuse for it. You must be injured if you can't be feminine. That's the only thing that I can even conceptualize that makes some level of sense. But we got two other guests up, so let me let them get in. Kevin 3905, you got the mic, my brother, and we'll get no place holder in right behind you.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, fellas. Man, these women fought for the right to be hoes. They fought for it. They wanted their independence from men. They wanted sexual liberation. They didn't want men in their households because they don't want they don't want to be taught how to be wives. They don't want to be groomed into being wives. They don't want the structure that comes along with men, and particularly black men, being in the households. Because couple of things that are certain when it comes to black men leading their households properly as husbands: we don't raise hoes and we don't raise homosexuals. We don't do those two things when we're leading our households properly. These women fought to do these things out on their own. They're proud of it. They're proud to turn your boys into gay men, and they're proud to turn your daughters into hoes. They post this stuff online with these very young children that they teaching them how to twerk before they can barely read and write well. They post online. They're proud of showing your boys being feminine when you're not in the household. They're proud to do this stuff, man. There ain't no excuses. The well of femininity is dry now. The older women are the old hoes that stayed in the club too long, and they raise these young hoes that are doing what they're doing now. They don't even have anybody to teach them if they wanted to learn. We live in a nation full of whores. This is what they fought for. This is what they got, and that's it, man. It's over. It's a wrap. And
All
I'll
right.
land there.
All right. No placeholder. You got it.
Yes. Good morning, Roger. Good morning, Kev. And good morning, Mr. X. And the rest of the chat. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying good morning. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of like keep going where what Kev is saying, because I watched something the other day, and it was something with some white woman was talking about how she's talking about how males are now performing for women visually, and as she was making the complaint as that historically speaking, women have been taught since they were girls to perform visually for like doing, like you mentioned, the femininity uh, for 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 men, and she's kind of happy now that men have basically taken up that cue and I'm saying, the pretty boy concept of whatever it is. And I was sitting down to myself and I was thinking about that from the point of view of like the feminists and the idea of like not wanting, like, for example, Kevin Samuels, women not being nice or smiling for men simply out of like out of like good being good citizens or whatever you want to call it. To me, I was looking at it and I was saying to myself is that they really have this philosophy that essentially that what they're doing for men is subjective, and it is not basically part of some kind of social contract. So it's like it's so unique how it's like she was presenting it as if like, why should we have to basically look good? Why should we have to do these things? And it was very unique in the sense that I'm looking at it. And it was like no one says and looks at 60 hours a week as performative. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like no one looks at the fact that, yes, he's working 60 hours a week to perform for you. He's working whatever amount of 20, 30, I'm saying 4 decades to perform for you. So it's like, for me, it's like I found it very disingenuous and very disheartening to see this is an intelligent woman look at it from that perspective. It's just like, I'm saying, it's just like we are not also performing for them. You know what I'm saying, but nevertheless, Roger, I land there.
Well, I'm gonna say extremely good point, because men do a whole lot of stuff for women. You know, we buy nice stuff for women. We buy things that women like that we have no real interest in. You know, there's things in men's bathrooms that's literally there for women at the end of the day. You know, but see, the thing is, women are so just selfish. They don't give any credit for it at the end of the day, and that's all there is to it. Women are just selfish, and they show it on a regular basis. Now, the thing is, why wouldn't you want to be feminine? Now, as Mr. X was saying earlier, you go into a harsh environment, right? Now let's do some math, y'all, because I definitely believe 2 + 2 gonna always equal 4. Okay, let's imagine you're in a rough environment. Okay, it's bad out there. Maybe you even in a war-torn country. Okay, yo, it would make sense to me that a woman in a bad environment would be far more feminine than a woman in a pretty nice environment. Like over here in America, you got a pretty nice environment. There are much harsher places that you could live in. They would be more feminine in a harsher place. Why? Because they really want men to do stuff for them. If you live in a harsh environment, do you want to go to the store and buy the groceries? Or do you want the men to go to the store and buy the groceries? If you live in a harsh environment where people are getting taken out all over the place, where women are being sexually assaulted regularly, do you want to go out the house and do a bunch of stuff? Or do you want a man to go out the house and do a bunch of stuff and bring those things to you that he got? So to me, the rougher the situation, the more feminine a woman would naturally be. So I personally don't
No,
believe in, the environment's rough, so therefore she can't be feminine. What is she trying to do? Is she
Okay,
a
so
soldier?
Roger, can I
hold on, Mr. X. Can I make a quick point to Roger,
go
and
ahead?
then you can jump in? Yeah. So Roger, what I understand from what Kevin is saying is, for example, like World War II Germany. That was what I'm saying. Where German women are not Germany. World War II Russia. Sorry, not Germany. Where Russia, as a result of the loss, the Russians are taken, and the Germans are basically invading. The women also had to basically help out in ways. I'm saying something similar to, for example, in Ethiopia or Eritrea, where the women are basically. I'm saying so. But in that environment, I can understand that. That's what I'm saying. I can understand it, Roger. But everyday America, there's no reason for these women not to be feminine. But go ahead, Ted. Mr.
Yeah, so I was going to actually add to essentially the wartime scenario, right? Roger is right in the sense that you're right again, Roger. In the sense that when you have a collective nationwide wartime scenario, the more feminine you are as a woman, the more assistance you're going to get, right? Because men understand the situation overall, and they're going to be more inclined to protect you. That's when men's masculinity actually kicks in, and when it's heightened. So yeah, that draws. And then the masculine is drawn to the feminine, and all the other stuff. Because I've actually seen that play out, right? Like real time combat, all that other stuff. I've seen it play out. And what I'm talking about is, let's just say the United States. You're also again in this. You're also right in this respect, Roger, in the sense that the overarching environment of the United States is not harsh or unkind to women. It's just that there are women in certain areas that have a harsher experience that kind of turns them into something that's not naturally occurring as a feminine woman. So yes, you're right in that sense, but I was kind of pointing to the sense that there is going to be some exceptions to that. And again, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just telling you that's kind of how I see it. So, so when you say there's no excuses for women not to behave in a way that's feminine overall, especially in the United States, I would agree with you there. I would just say you got to look at some extreme circumstances that some women end up in. How they get there is how they get there. We don't want to go into that and all that other stuff, but we just kind
Yes.
of want to point to that. But I don't want to, use that as an excuse. I just want to, you're gonna have to make some considerations for just some things
No,
that
but
be in
Cam,
their control.
all right, Mr. X,
Huh?
I understand. But I want to make a point of saying that when one makes a generalized argument or argument based on generalization, it is not good to bring up extremes. But we're not talking about the two sides of the bell curve. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the fat part of the bell curve.
yeah.
So
Okay, yeah,
that's the
yeah,
first one I want to. That's the first one I wanted to make. The second one I wanted to make is that even those people that find themselves in those extreme quote unquote scenario in America, the environment. Notice we're making a point about the environment. The environment itself is not extreme. They just make bad decisions that put themselves in situations.
yeah. You can
You
argue
get
that
what I'm
point.
saying?
Yeah, but
So it's like,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
I
So
just kind of wanted to emphasize what Roger was talking about as it relates to in a harsh environment that's like you got a nation state that's out of control and things are going bad all over the country. Women generally are more feminine. They understand that, look, in order for me to get protection, I have to behave as a woman. I have to, not be completely helpless, but at the same time, if I want a random man to assist me that has no interest and just do it out of just the kindness of his heart and not expect anything in return, I better act like a woman is supposed to act. If you show up acting like a dude and coming at them crazy, then you're going to get treated, the way men going to get treated in a war-torn country.
Now I'm gonna say this. Let's say, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, right? So people have heard about the GDs, right? Okay, let's say the GDs is into it with the vice lords, right? They quote unquote at war at this particular time. So folks staying out of each other's neighborhoods and all that type of stuff. Now I'm a man. If I go to the GD neighborhood and I'm not known to them, GD is gonna question me. This could go bad for me. Okay, they may believe I'm a vice lord. Okay, I may not be able to tell them nothing to get me out of this. Something could happen to me, or vice versa. If I went to the vice lord neighborhood, they may think I'm GD. Okay, now the thing is, if you're a woman, you can just go to either neighborhood. Yes, it's a war out there. The GDs is warring with the vice lords. She can go to both neighborhoods, and she's fine. She's protected. She can have sex with the GDs. She can also start having sex with the vice lord. Everything's good for her. So my thing is, when we see things as harsh situations, I think sometimes a lot of men forget that our harsh situations are not necessarily harsh for women. The quote unquote gangsters that terrorize the neighborhood, women are literally having sex with those gangsters. Women are literally going toward those gangsters. If you was a young man and you ever seen, let's say you was walking by yourself, maybe one or two other people, whatever case is, and you see a group of 12 to 15 guys and they start moving in your direction, you start going away from that. As a woman, she can go right toward that and be perfectly fine. Harsh for us, it ain't harsh for them. Which, for me, that's why I say there's no excuse to not be feminine. I definitely understand why somebody who works in the psychology field would try to come up with an actual excuse. But when I look at some of the things psychologists say, I'm not saying just every I'm just saying there are things that I've seen psychologists come up with that literally don't make any level of sense. But people accept it because of their position. I accept truth regardless of a person's position. You can be a psychiatrist and tell me something very stupid. I can't move on what's stupid just because you got a title. What's harsh to me ain't harsh to them. It is what it is. So I'm just saying, in my world, 2 + 2 gonna always equal 4. It doesn't make a difference what the conditions are. That's all I'm saying. Now, what y'all want to believe, that's totally up to y'all. And I'm not saying, Mr. X, I'm not saying nothing you're saying is wrong. but you did say that psychiatrists come with these theories about, nature versus nurture. My thing is, harsh environments usually mean women are going to act more feminine, so they'll be more secure. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, I would agree with you on
Okay.
that. That makes sense. That's how they should be. Look, and somebody actually said this, and I don't want to try to quote a red pill person, but he had said something that actually made sense. I won't give credit. I'll just say it was a red pill person. He said when things go bad, that's when males and females revert to their natural gender roles. All of this stuff about what I ain't gonna do as a woman or what I'm not gonna do as a man and all this other stuff, all of that goes away when basically crap hits the fan and people revert back to their natural gender roles. Men protect, and women are looking for protection. Right?
I agree with that with Mr. X. I do agree with that. I wanted to make an additional point about Roger and the protection, and I forgot my thought. I'll come back to you, Roger.
Okay. Well, from an overall standpoint, my thing is it is some level of it's quote unquote hard to be feminine because number one, we live in a society where people are generally free. So when you're generally free, a lot of people are going to do what's very selfish to them. And femininity does show something about a woman, but it also shows she cares something about somebody else too. Because you expect a feminine woman to have a regard for human beings. That's what you expect the feminine women to do. Go ahead.
One second, Roger. I do remember my point. So I wanted to go along what you're saying about the female being feminine and the environment. Because I wanted to look at, because Kev C himself has actually traveled. I'm not Kev, Mr. X has traveled, and I also have traveled. And we see that the environment that when we leave America is significantly harsher for women. But essentially, where are we going to find feminine women? I'm saying that was the point I wanted to make. So it requires comfort for a woman to choose to not be feminine, because being feminine is a performative act that generates results. Say just like how men, somebody said yesterday, men work hard so that they can select the mate of choice. Most men work hard so they can basically get the woman of choice, so they can facilitate her wants and needs and the children that come out of that. You see? So we're performing for that outcome. So what I'm trying to say that these women have social safety nets. That's why they can choose not to perform to be feminine. So this environment is completely comfortable to the women. It's not even it's like, and the result of it is exactly what you see in front of
Yeah,
you.
and they're saying that your audio is chopping a little bit. It's a little bit. So
okay,
you may want to do something about that.
Let me drop and come back. All right.
I understand your point. Your point, Roger. It kind of refers back to the Mouse Utopia experiment, where the more comfortable the women are, the less likely they are to perform their roles. But it's still no excuse. I generally think the lack of femininity is a condition of them not having gratitude and being entitled. I think that's just what it is at the core of it. They don't appreciate what they have, and they just feel entitled to have things that they have no claim to. They just expect the world to give them everything, and they don't have to do anything, or they don't have any responsibility to the environment around them. I do understand the laws and all that kinds of stuff and the social safety nets that are there for them. Fine, but that doesn't mean you have to partake in those things in a way such that it hurts your family and the environment around you. They're just selfish. It's just selfish, man. It's just all it is. It's just selfish.
Which is what I was about to go into, because we have freedom in this country. So your freedom allows you to express yourself the way you want to express yourself. So that's what women are doing. Okay. Now, being feminine is quote unquote work, because it means I'm not going to do everything that I just want to do at every moment. I'm going to actually do something with the thought process that other people exist too. Okay, when a woman switches down the street, y'all, think about this. A woman just walking, she switching. Why is the woman switching in the first
Get
place?
attention.
The thought, right? She's expressing herself in a way. She's walking in a way to attract somebody else's attention. She's thinking about the world besides herself. She wants to attract somebody else's attention. See, when you're feminine, you can attract other people's attention. Why do women? Why do when you go into a person's home and you have a feminine woman, you know, she's gonna set plates out for everybody. She's gonna take care of serving people before she eats. Why does she do that? She's considering other people. Her mind is not just on self. There's work that comes along with being feminine. Okay, making sure children are nurtured properly. You expect that from a feminine woman, which means she has to think about somebody other than herself. Because she could just do what a lot of women do. They just turn on the TV and tell the women to tell the kids to sit there and watch. And they let them watch whatever they want to watch. And then they wonder why their kids not raised properly. Even though you didn't tell them anything. You just put it in front of the TV and let them do whatever they want to do. A feminine woman is going to make sure they're watching some level of programming that will be good for them, or some level of programming that at least wouldn't be damaging to them. She thinks about somebody other than herself. Feminine women actually think about other people. If you're not feminine, you don't need to think about other people. You can think from a selfish standpoint, basically 24 hours a day. You know, you talk about a sense of entitlement. Well, if a person thinks about themselves 24 hours a day, their entitlement will show up. And she thinks it's supposed to happen. Not that she got to work for something. No, it's supposed to happen for me. Somehow I'm supposed to get fed, whether I do what I need to do or not. Somehow my place is supposed to be clean, whether I do what I need to or not. You're supposed to be attracted to me no matter how I present myself. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of selfishness that goes with a woman who is not being feminine. Because being feminine, you got to think about somebody other than yourself. But Santana has come up, so let me go ahead and let him get the mic. You got the floor, my brother.
Yeah. Hey, good morning to y'all.
Good morning, brother.
Come on, Santana.
To me, being feminine is not hard at all for women nowadays. It's actually used. It's actually a power when you think about it, and it's actually a manipulation tactic. Because as soon as you don't do what a feminine woman wants you to do, is she feminine anymore? Probably not. So to me, it's not hard at all. They just use that as a manipulation tactic. To me.
Well, I'm going to say this. A feminine woman was going to be feminine regardless of the circumstances going on around her. Have y'all ever seen a feminine woman yell at her children?
Yes.
No.
She can barely yell.
No.
She can't really yell. She's so used. She's been trained to speak soft-spokenly so much that her yelling her kids is not yelling at all. You know, she's talking to them sternly, but she can't even really yell anymore. It's hilarious when you think about it from an adult perspective. It's absolutely funny to me because I think, okay, I've seen it plenty of times. It's hilarious to me because it's like you know they mean what they say and they speaking to their child sternly, but they don't really show that they have an ability to really even yell anymore.
You know, even though I done seen feminine women yell at their kids, I also done seen them, help them think a certain way. Like, if you act this way, you're not gonna get this, or you know what I'm saying, just talking to them in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Not so much as yelling. So it's just different ways how I guess a feminine woman approach how she deals with her kids. But mostly, I ain't gonna say mostly. From time to time, I do see a feminine woman yelling at their kids, but not as much though. Not as much. They go about it a different way. They don't put hands on their kids. It's just they know how to manipulate the kid brain to think a certain way.
Well, the thing is that you got to teach kids right and wrong. That has to happen. But I'm just saying the reason we don't normally see feminine women yelling because that's not a part of themselves that they use. It's it's like it's almost like if you don't use it, you lose it. They're not used to yelling at people because why would a feminine woman be yelling in general?
Well,
It's not really coming up in her life.
well, where does yelling come from?
Yelling can come from multitude of places. It can come from anger. I use it to make people get a certain understanding that this ain't a joke anymore. You can use it for different reasons, but why would a feminine woman be yelling?
Because you just said it. She can be angry at her kids.
I think it's a difference in perspective. I think what Santana is describing is what he has seen and understood to be feminine from his perspective of how he grew up and what he was taught, versus us as older men and what we have learned and how we come to manhood and our true form of masculinity. We start understanding femininity is not what we were taught; it's something different.
Now, let me say shout out to No Placeholder who said my wife asked me to yell at the boys on her behalf.
Yep.
Now there are women with men who will do the yelling for them. There are women who say that thing about wait till your father gets home because she's not gonna go into it. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really use it like that. Now shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. Okay. Chef Mike's Roundtable, he says, whoop, man, my bad. There you go. Okay. He says, now at the Roger Report Live, they have the ability to yell. They have the ability, but their husbands usually step in. If she has to yell, all hell has broken loose. And shout out to you, Chef. See, there you go. She don't have to yell because the husband is going to step in. Because let's keep it real, feminine women normally have a husband. Because what man gonna leave a feminine woman out there on the market? Usually, feminine women are married. It's hard to find a feminine woman that's actually single.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find a feminine woman. Period.
Then why would they be single? Of course, the men gonna scoop it up because they see she feminine. They gonna take off the market. That makes sense. Think about it. That correlates with each other. If it's hard to find them in general, why would the man who does find them leave on the market?
Yeah.
You know, see how they go together?
Truly feminine adult women are usually married by the time they're 25 years old. You ain't gonna never hear them yell. You ain't gonna never hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Roger.
And go ahead, Tony. I was just going to give you flow. That's what I was literally about to say. Go ahead.
Say, this is where foreign women win all the time because the poor ones are feminine. The middle class ones are feminine, and the rich ones are feminine. They are feminine all the time, and they just get more feminine the more you give them some support. They get more and more feminine. So that's how they win all the time. They're smiling at everybody. They're smiling at me when I'm with my wife. They smile at me when I'm without my wife. Her sisters, her cousins, they all are being feminine and all trying to be the best they can be.
Did you just put feminine in a class like only this class women are feminine, but the lower class ain't? Is that what you just did?
Now you just said lower as if it's got to be a different class.
No, because he
didn't say that about higher or
he
lower.
did because he just said the rich. He said the rich females are feminine, where the middle class or the lower, I guess broke women.
I mean, wouldn't it make sense?
That's
it would
what he
make
just
sense
said.
If that's what he just said, I mean, it would make sense that richer women would be more feminine. That would definitely make sense.
Yeah, I was saying, compared to the women in America, all the women over a lot. Well, I should say, pretty much the majority of women are being feminine overseas. Even the poor, even the ones that don't like you, are being feminine and trying to be smile and try to be nice to you. Even the bad girls overseas are trying to be as feminine as they can, and they're trying to get as much as so they're trying to be feminine. They feel like the way to get a man, the way to get money, the way to get support is to be feminine, is to be nice, is to be sweet.
Manipulation.
Wait, y'all hold fast right there. Shout out to the Black Baron. He said, you ever met a crazy feminine woman? It can happen. The Black Baron, the same way you can meet a man with no legs. It could happen, but when are you gonna actually come across it? It's not something that happens too much, bro. And this is the thing, y'all. My channel is for intelligent people, y'all. We gotta put our thinking caps on. You can find just about any scenario when you talk about hundreds of millions of people. So, you know what I'm saying? And there's billions of people across planet Earth. You can find all types of scenarios, but are they normal scenarios? How often do you come across a guy with no legs? Now I say jokingly all the time, I can go find one, just like he made this extreme example. Yeah, I can go find you a guy with no legs. Because most guys got legs, man. So let's keep that in mind before we just throw stuff out there to see if it's gonna stick. And that's no disrespect to you. I'm not saying you was trying to take anything in a malice position. I'm just saying, yeah, you can find just about anything when you have billions of people available to pick from. All right, the truth teller has come up, so I'm finna give him the mic. But I do want to say this. Now, I just said something about it would make sense for richer women to be more feminine. I'm gonna tell you why. Because men like feminine women. If a man is doing well in life, which kind of woman is he probably going to pick? A more feminine woman or a less feminine woman? It makes sense he'll pick a more feminine woman. If a man is with a woman and he gets with her early, who's he going to get? The woman who's less feminine or the woman who's more feminine? No, he's probably going to go with the more feminine woman. So let's say he gets a girl that's 18, 19, 20 years old. He marries her. He's probably going to marry a more feminine woman. Now, because they're going to be on the same page for a lot longer together, it only makes sense that their incomes would probably go up. Their net worth would probably go up together, which would make her what? Toward the richer part. Maybe they never actually get rich, but they possibly do get rich. But they will have more money as a couple together because they've been working together longer. So when it comes to femininity, the more feminine you are, it only makes sense that your income or your net worth is going to go up as a feminine woman. That literally makes sense.
Well, by saying that, then I mean the title of the show is wrong because
The
obviously
title of the show ain't wrong because we're talking about what the title of the show is.
Right. I ain't mean to say wrong, but it's obviously it's not hard to be feminine. If this guy got some money, I'm gonna be feminine him. That means it ain't hard.
That's not feminine.
You gotta be feminine on a regular basis to be feminine.
That's gotta be who you are, not who you trying to be.
But if you just based it off of a woman's money, you basically
no. I said her being feminine would naturally turn into a higher money result. I didn't say the money make her feminine. Her being feminine will attract money to her.
What?
I was gonna come on here with this point. As Black men, we have no idea what a feminine woman looks like. Hence your story you talked about earlier in regards to a woman who was being nice to Black men, and niggas just thrown back because they're like, "What the hell going on?" We look at it like, "Yo, she must be sick or something wrong with her. Why she being so nice?" So if you and our problem as the men portion of this is we have no idea what even the subtle aspects of femininity looks like, right? We just think, okay, we hear people talk about it, on these shows and videos and stuff about women listening to their husband and not fighting back and blah, blah, blah. But we have no idea that femininity is when we both walk into a room, you're on my right shoulder, but towards slightly behind me on my arm, right? Nobody picks that up. There's actually places that teach women to be more feminine. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's actually etiquette schools. I've sent my daughter there. Like, so there's no excuse for them not knowing how to do it. They just don't want to do it. And it is hard. It's not easy because it's just like anything else. It's like a martial art. It's like you learning how to be a good worker, a responsible worker, good at your job. It takes practice. You need to learn it. You need to make it a habit. And once you make it a habit, it's easier. But you got to put in the work to be able to do it appropriately. When you
I
when
want to
you
ask.
sit
I,
when you
I
sit
want to ask you
down,
a
the woman's
question when
supposed to
you're
cross her
done.
legs. She's supposed to cross her legs. She ain't supposed to sit. She's not even supposed to sit with her legs not crossed. Truth be told, but some ladies can't do it, so they're supposed to sit with their knee shifted to the side. Legs together and then knees shifted to the side, not straight forward, not legs open. Even if they're wearing pants, they're supposed to sit the same way, crossed or their knees together, shifted to the side.
See,
Right? Nobody.
back in the day
No,
when
no,
we
no.
were growing up, that was natural things that they learned in the home. I saw my grandmother
Correct.
teaching my
Correct.
cousins that stuff.
Yeah, my wife teaches my daughter that. She from
Right.
when she was little, she literally said you can't sit with your legs open like that. When she was like 5 years old, my 5-year-old daughter don't know what she's talking about. She's like, why? Because you're a lady, you're not supposed to. That's all she got from my wife. You're a lady, you're not supposed to. You
I
got
done
to take. Yeah, you.
So,
Well,
so you
I've
said
been
you sent your daughter to a etiquette school. When
yeah,
was
I
it a
did.
multicultural etiquette school?
Yeah, you can say that. There was young ladies from other places. Yeah.
Okay. Was it mostly black girls or was it just everybody?
It was mostly white girls, but there were black girls there.
How many black girls were there, and how many students you think were there?
I have no idea. It wasn't a lot. I can tell you that. A lot of
Approximately how
stuff.
many students you think that you saw?
In that one class, probably like I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 25, something like that.
How many of them were black?
I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6.
There you go.
I was
So
going to see
yeah,
where
they
you're
not
going with that line of questioning, but
There you
yeah.
go.
right. But well, I mean, we already said that they not trying to learn it because they could if they wanted to.
No,
It's
they,
So,
available. There's plenty of them
that
across
so
the
Roger,
nation. They even got all.
that
They
was
even got online
that
ones.
was a point that we talk about week after week after week. And like I keep saying, I say, man, about 5% of of black women are wives. About 5% are really qualified to be wives. There are more married black women than there are qualified women to be wives, and it's because black men
Oh,
have
that's true.
such a desire to be married. We will literally take less than and try to make it more than.
Well, that's natural. That's natural though. That's not what you make of it. You are more. Your preference are people similar to you, and there's not another group of women, African or otherwise, that is more similar to FBA black men and FBA black women, even though they act crazy. There's certain values, certain familial values, certain
I agree.
customs, and certain practices. See, that's what you want to delve into. That's your preference. You can't help
I
that.
got you.
all right, well, hold fast right there. Yeah, because when you get married to a person, you're always taking a risk. That's just what it is. And black men take risks. Okay, but we got Shark Sims that has come up, so I want to go ahead and let him get the mic. Shark, you got it, my
Hey,
brother.
what's up? Peace, fellas. How y'all doing today? Peace to the chat. Thanks, Roger, for letting me up and all that. The title is "Being Hard, Being Feminine is Hard." I think it's only hard for black people, and I say that with a large
What?
umbrella because
What? Just to make it clear to y'all, the titles be in the actual title. What be on the what be on the screen be short version. Sometimes we make it totally different things. So now this is close because it says being feminine is hard work. So you know what I'm saying. So if you really to know, especially if you're gonna come on the panel, you need to know what the title of the show is. It's always gonna be where the titles are, not necessarily what's showing on the screen.
all right,
We
my
play with
bad.
that. We play with that sometimes. We play with that sometimes.
So
Go ahead though.
being
Pause.
feminine is hard work.
Yeah.
Um, I guess it is because our sisters can't do it. But like Truth Teller was saying, like we haven't really seen feminine women. I never seen my grandmother and my grandmother's sisters And I never really seen my father's sisters raise their voice before. I don't know what kind of power it was they had, but when they say do something, they might they just give you a look. Always in dresses, I'm not saying they wasn't mean, but their meanness was soft. And like I said, I don't know how it worked on us, but it worked. So, I never even heard my grandmoms and her sisters curse before. So I think it's hard work for these generations that's going on now. Even when you look at it, like the gay black men ain't even feminine compared to the other sissies that's running around here and stuff like that. Like it's just a wild energy that the new generations of black women have found, and I don't know where they got it from, because we could look at the other generations of black women and they was soft, they was mean, but they was definitely soft. Even the black women in The Color Purple was feminine. They just was ugly and mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just gonna
Nigga
speak to
said
that.
they was ugly and mean.
Can can we can you actually say that? Can you actually say that a woman being
True teller, stop
feminine?
laughing. I'm trying to be
No,
serious, True.
no. This is
You
a
messing
quick
it up,
question.
man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
I was just gonna speak on that. Can you really say that her being feminine is determined and submissive? Can you say those things are determined off her looks?
No, they determined by her attitude.
Her attitude and
That's
her
what
actions.
controls how she acts,
Yeah.
man.
And my grandmother and my aunts wasn't submissive. Right? They gave
Right.
some
Well,
kickback and all that, but at the end of the day, it was like a calm. I don't know. It's like a karate expert. Like like when you see Bruce Lee, he not wilding, but he's still kicking ass. Stuff like that.
well, I was gonna say something to that because, and that's what my point was earlier. We have no idea what being feminine is just because you didn't, she gave you the eye versus yelling at you. That don't mean she's
Right.
feminine, y'all. There's a lot more to it than just that. I mean, a whole lot more. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's hard work to do that. They know it. That's why they don't want to do it. They want the easy path. If you notice, everything is the easy path for them. Even if it hurts them, it's easier to do it this way. So I'm gonna do it this way. You realize doing it this way is gonna cause you grief later. Ow, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. All right, cool. So and that's what I was trying to get across, because if I think as black men we should go to these etiquette schools and take these feminine classes so we know what this stuff looks like, because we don't know what it looks like. We don't know a woman walking. You know what's feminine? The way a woman walks.
Yep.
I don't know if y'all even know that.
Yep.
Listen,
The way she walks.
Cause you said
No, hold on. Hear me out. Not the way she walks into a room. The way she walks normally.
Period.
bro, listen, hold on. I
True teller, you cooking up right
personally,
now,
I
brother.
don't
You
think
cooking up.
me personally, I don't even think being feminine is a way a woman walk. I think it's a mindset. You just labeled it down to how she walked. The other dude labeled it down to if she got money or not.
No. Those are expressions of her femininity coming out. When it's in you, it's gonna come out you. Walking is one of the ways that it comes out. How's
feminine walk?
Hence, when I started, I talked about the white girl, 13ish, walking with her mom, while the mom walking the dog, and she out there practicing walking in heels. That was her literally practicing how to walk as a woman.
So female walking in heels is feminine.
No, you're not understanding what he's trying to say. I don't know if you be trolling sometimes.
That's why I'm asking.
No, it's like a person who it's like a person who love hip hop. It's going to protrude through their whole how they act, how they talk. It's going to come out to the point. He don't got to tell you he listen to rap music. You can tell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with femininity. She don't have to tell you she's feminine. The way she walks, the way she talks, the way she touches your shoulder, all of these different things. The way she conducts herself in public.
If you just compared it to hip hop and a man enduring that, what is she listening to?
No. I'm saying it's an analogy, so you can understand what I'm saying. How I'm trying to break it down so you can apply to that.
I'm just saying, what is she listening to that makes her embody that?
Her mother.
Nothing.
Well,
I'm not listening to
Okay.
anything.
Well, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me give you a few answers to that. What is she listening to? Probably a feminine mother.
Okay.
What does she listen to? Probably a feminine grandmother.
Okay.
What does she listen to? Probably a good father.
All right.
That she actually it lives in his home, not visiting him on the weekends, not coming for some vacation. A father who she actually lives in his home. Okay, she listens. She possibly goes to church or some other, depending on her religion. She may be Muslim, maybe maybe whatever it is. They're going to the different religious buildings, and participating in things. She's going to family reunions. She's actually in contact with her family. Okay, she's listening to people who are older, who have wisdom, and people who've achieved things. She's learning how to present herself, so when she becomes an adult, she can present herself correctly to attract the right kind of man to marry in the first place. She's listening to plenty of stuff like that, for instance.
Yep. Yep. In those scenarios, the mother is teaching her every day how to be feminine, and the father is correcting her when she displays anything that's not feminine. So, like my brother, who was giving the example of his daughter being in the school, she's being taught what to do, right? So the mother's like, maybe sit like this, you should do this, you should do that. The father is watching, but when he catches her with her legs open, he'll tell her, close your legs with some
Actually,
authority.
that should come from the mother. Actually, but yeah, yeah,
But I'm just saying, like we
yeah.
provide discipline and guidance. Like
Right.
it's the mother and the father together working in tandem, understanding what the goal is for that child, how they work together. So by the time she comes of age, it's a part of her. Femininity doesn't turn on and turn off. Don't turn off for this guy because he ain't what she wants. She's feminine whether she's what she want, whether he is what she wants or not. Just like with us, we're masculine all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
Like for Santana, like a good example, the best example I could give you is a lot of people don't like her, but Angel Reese, she's feminine.
She is.
Yep.
She is.
And you see it when she's on the basketball court, the way she bends over when she's tired and the way she's standing there, like that's feminine. The fact that she can't even hit a layup, that's feminine.
The fact that you don't even know her, the fact that you don't know her and you going off of appearance, you can actually see, bro. That's crazy. Me personally,
Well,
again,
yeah, how else? Well, hold on. You confuse me, player. How else do you know a woman is feminine unless you see it?
let me tell you how, because again, how he
It's
explained it. No, let me tell you how, because how he just.
All right, hold fast before he goes into the explanation. And I'm gonna hear him explain, because Angel Reese does more than just be seen. She literally hosts the podcast and everything. Like, we done seen her talk and everything. But
Who actually watching that podcast?
Black Rule Strike says, when I was growing up, most of the most feminine women I have known were relatively homely. They had to be ultra feminine to compete with prettier women. Now, that's real talk. See, when a woman didn't have the looks on her side, she was trying to outdo the other women some kind of way. The same way when I was growing up, there was an expectation that a fat girl would be nice. If you got nothing else out of a fat girl, you would expect her to at least be nice. You know what I'm saying? But things have changed over time. But Santana, I'm gonna go ahead and let you say what you was gonna say, and then I'm gonna bring these other brothers in, because we got two gentlemen that just joined the panel.
Okay.
Go ahead. What you was gonna say, Santana?
Again, the other guy pretty much went off injuries being feminine because of what's seen on the internet. And another guy compared it to being feminine as some sort of class or something, who got the most money. To me, I've always been taught that being feminine was a mindset. It ain't no how you dress, how you walk. It's literally how you think. So I'm not sure really where we got these other things of being feminine. I don't know where y'all got it from, but again, I was raised totally different. Where it's just a mindset, nothing else.
Santana, you could be taught wrong, because I'm gonna give you the scenario.
But I'm not talking about being taught wrong.
Is a gay man feminine? He has the mindset to think that he's a woman, but is he feminine?
Wait, that makes no sense, bro.
No, it does. You said it's a You said it's a mindset. You literally said it's a mindset.
But that don't mean just because you gay, you feminine, bro.
No, I didn't say that. I said if he think he's feminine, can he be feminine?
if he don't have the mindset for it, no.
Well,
You can think you something that don't mean that you is, but
well,
if that's your mindset, you can't
well,
change it.
Well,
well,
you made your universe, so I could understand. It's your universe. I got you.
I'm gonna say this. This is the thing. A mindset can be picked up by anybody because it's a mindset. So any person can pick up a mindset. Now the thing is, you said a woman is feminine because of her mindset. Well, if she has a right mindset and she has a feminine mindset, that means she's not gonna put on certain things, which is an
Right.
expression of how she dresses.
Yeah,
Which
but that
means I
completely
can
goes
see
against.
her. Oh, brother, hold on. I
I'm
can
sorry.
see her level of femininity because she's going to
Right.
express it in how she
Right.
dresses. She's going to
Right.
express it in how she speaks. She's going to express it in how she moves. She's going to express it in how she walks. She's
Right.
going to express it in the events she participates in. There are
That
certain things that feminine women stay away from. So how do I, as a man who's not inside her head, tell that she's feminine?
I
I
can
see
understand.
what she got on. I
I
see
can.
how she's
Right.
talking to people. I see what she's participating in. I see the things she goes to. That's how I see it.
Right.
I can't see what's in her head. I can see what she expresses that comes out of her head.
Right.
So yeah, we can see it, bro.
I understand. I only said that about Angel Reese, and you actually made a point because you said it's how she dressed. Anybody knows Angel Reese? She dresses very provocative. So I'm trying to figure out how do
Well,
you
I don't
think
agree
that
that
she's
Angel.
feminine off of that?
I agree
Well,
with you.
well we
Hold up, Roger.
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
We gonna hold fast
Oh yeah,
right
yeah. We
there
got other
because we got
brothers. I forgot.
two other
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
that came up. Okay, we got two other guys that came up. So Champ Car for Life, you got it, and then we'll get the Emperor right behind you.
For Power Rangers.
Hey, what's going on, brothers? Happy Tuesday. Well, if you want to know what feminine used to look like, it was the way how black women used to dress up, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, and the way how they carried themselves and the way how they wore their hair and everything else. Now in this day and age, look how they dress in this day and age. And the only time that they're feminine, unfortunately, is when they're with a white man. I mean, you think a white man's going to allow his black wife, to dress up provocative and everything else? Perfect example, rapper Eve. You see her the way how she used to dress back in the early 2000s and everything else. And then she got with a rich white guy, and look how she's dressed and everything else in front of all these rich British aristocrat people and everything else. I mean, look at Serena Williams. She used to be this athletic, more thin, athletic woman and everything else. Now she's, taking these I don't know what she was taking, but she lost a lot of weight and she's trying to look good in front of her white man and everything else. So unfortunately, the only time we're seeing some of these sisters trying to be feminine is when they're trying to look good in front of white men and everything else and trying to compete and everything else. It used to be at a time, when a lot of sisters, weren't doing that to themselves and everything else. Even to some extent in the 90s, they didn't dress. I mean, there were times that they dressed pretty sexy and everything else, but they weren't at the extreme that they were right now today. So that's the only time back then when they were feminine and everything else. I mean, you still have some sisters, who are trying to look good and everything else, wearing dresses and everything else. But, overall, a lot of the sisters, got this little clan thing called the sisterhood, who is encouraging black women, to disrespect their black men and everything else. Black men are terrible, black men are dusty and everything else. So I'm gonna land my plane right there.
Before y'all go, Emperor Dessalines is next. You got it, my brother.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
Good morning, brother.
Speaking of hoes, and I shot a pair. Well, okay. Here's my experience with non-feminine black women. I remember back in the days when I first came into America, I was catching the bus, and the first time actually got on the bus, with a female bus operator, I did the most human thing possible. I said good morning to her. Then she looked at me like I stink. I mean, for real. She looked at me like I was less than a bum. I think that if I was a dog, she would have looked at me slightly better. I was impressed. So, at the next stop, a white man got off the bus and he said, "Okay, have a nice day." And when I tell you, she broke her neck to turn it all the way back to wish him a nice day, drink water, stay safe, stay warm. I mean, all the best wishes. My God damn. You you couldn't even say good morning to me? You're breaking your neck like that for him. I thought to myself, maybe you know what? I'm seeing things, I'm just imagining things, right? The next day, same bus, same people, same her. Said good morning to her. She looked at me the same way. White man gets off the bus, says, "Have a nice day." She does the same thing. I say, okay, I see. This is where we at. 3 times in a row, she did the same thing. Then I said, you know what? Screw all that nonsense. I will never say hi to these black women anymore. And from that point moving forward, I never said hi to them because I've came to realize that they will treat me worse than a dog. So I think as a black man that I deserve great treatment from any woman. And I will not put up with this nonsense. I don't care what feminine or what not non-feminine is. I will not tolerate your disrespect because I'm worth more than that. I'm arrogant like that to say I will not put up with this nonsense, whether they are feminine or not. And when it comes to them being feminine, in their mind, this is what they think. Why should they be feminine for y'all when you didn't win the race war? Why should they be feminine to your Negroes? And I'm being generous. When you are the white man's bee, you have to clock in. You have 9 to 5 given to you by the white man. You do not own the system. Why should they be feminine? Why should they be feminine to you when they have to work alongside the white woman? Why should they be feminine to you when they live in the same universe as the white woman who is the standard of beauty around the world? Why should they be feminine to you? Why shouldn't they treat you worse than a dog? And for them, I said, you know what? You're right. And for all the men who have to put up with her, I said, yeah, why should she be feminine towards you? Since you're willing to put up with her nonsense.
That's not a good argument at all.
Oh, really? How is
Because
that
you can
so?
see that. Because
Yeah, Kevin, right.
That's not.
that's still your
No,
opening.
no, but they
I
do
do feel
use
his
the
pain
argument. They do use the argument, even though it's a stupid argument. But go ahead, Mr. X. They were just gonna say, Mr. X.
Yeah. I was gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say like none of that is a good argument in the sense that there are other races of men that have been through just as bad. Well, I'll just say not necessarily just as bad, but similar. And
Mm-hmm.
they still their women are still fine.
They
They
women
get
aren't
it.
black. They women aren't black women. That's the problem.
I get all of that. So what I'm saying is that any all of that. Well, this happened to you, that happened to you. You haven't done this, you haven't done that. All this other stuff. Look, black men have a much different experience than everybody else. All right. So to try to equate all of that and just use that as an excuse not to actually show respect, because black men could argue the exact same thing,
Mr. X,
right? And
this
that's
is
not
their
how we're acting as a
argument.
collective. We're not
This is
behaving that
their
way as a
this
collective.
is their
And now I
argument.
will say this to the gentleman who was just talking about how he had these negative experiences with black women out in the wild. Look, I get that does happen sometimes. Generally, though, if you limit it to hello and just keep it moving, or excuse me, or something like that, just be polite as you're interacting with them. I don't know. Generally, I get pretty good treatment out in the wild. I'll call it out in public because there's no reason to mistreat somebody when they're not mistreating you. Um, so, and I don't
Okay,
want to make excuses for women. I'm just saying that
Mr. Mr.
there's
X,
just no real reason for it. So it's unfortunate stuff like that does happen. I just don't know
Mr.
what.
Mr.
know.
X,
I'm gonna be
let me.
straightforward. I just don't believe anything he
Hold on.
said. I don't believe it.
Okay,
I don't
okay,
believe a word he said.
I
okay,
don't
guys,
believe that.
gentlemen,
Hold on.
gentlemen.
Yeah,
Let me
let Emperor
let me
go. Go ahead.
let me defend the point. How did black women reacted when Kevin Samuels was talking about the smile? How did they reacted when he said, "Can you
Yeah,
just
Told
there
you
was
smile
some.
he
There
was
were a lot
a
of women who
Muslim.
said
black
they
man?"
weren't going to do that.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah,
get a smile, and you think they won't treat me bad? I can get a smile from any random of them. Just woman, good morning.
well,
She smile at
Okay,
me. You
hold
don't
on,
think
hold on,
this
X,
can't
hold
be
on.
real?
Let him go. Because
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
man.
say something. I'm gonna say something, and y'all probably gonna disagree with me. Roger, I gotta put the disclaimer up. What Truth Teller says on the show is not necessarily the opinion of the Roger Report Live. So I'm gonna just say it, nigga. All what
You're
you just
right.
said is some option. Honestly, you let one
You're
chick
right.
on the bus make you make a judgment about a whole group of chicks. You ain't even trying to hit the field. That sounds fishy, sir. And the fact that you had to bring up the fact that they want to, they have this inclination to want to be with white men. When we talking about the difficult, whether or not it's difficult to be feminine, makes no sense to me. It's not even a part of this discussion.
Well, True Teller, in his defense, I can agree. Like, I'll be on the train and I will smile at the Indian lady, she'll give me a smile back. I'll smile
I
at the
hear.
Chinese lady, she'll give me a smile back. Smile at the white lady, give me a smile back. I smile at the older black woman, like probably like around 60, 70 years old, she'll give me the smile back. Hey, okay, sugar. It's these new women. I don't know what is wrong with
Look,
them.
I hear what you're saying, Shark, but you got to understand what just like damn, now I'm forgetting it. BGS, we got a Klingon relationship with these women,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what I'm saying. The older black woman, hey, how you doing,
Yeah,
sugar?
she older. She come from a different time.
So
Of course, she gonna
my
say
what
that.
I'm trying to figure out is what changed in these, because the older black woman went through more shit than my bad, Roger. Went through more stuff.
It's the older black women that changed the younger women. Just
Yeah,
because they giving you a smile now, don't mean they would have fleeced you 30 years or 50 years ago. I don't know why
yeah,
y'all niggas keep
yeah.
sleeping.
He said fleece you.
Listen. There's always been hoes. I don't know why y'all niggas think there was no hoes in the 40s, 30s, 50s, and 60s. They sent chicks up north because there was hoes in the south, and they had babies. They gave the babies to other relatives and moved this hoe somewhere else. That's what we were doing in the 19 and 1800s, y'all. I'm just saying. This is not a new thing being hoes. Yes, they're changing practices to adjust to modern times, but none of this is new. But I don't know why niggas, hey, some random chick on the bus make me think all black women are like this. Because I've been around some black women that be smiling in my face. And I'm like, I gotta tell them I'm married. I feel so
Wait, that's
uncomfortable. I'm
because
like,
they
oh,
truth teller. That's because they want something from you.
of course, but
Yeah, they might saw you ring the
Wait,
truth teller. Because let's keep
wait,
it
wait,
real.
wait,
every
When they
woman
see
wants
it,
something from
wait,
you. Y'all niggas is
wait,
crazy.
wait a
Come
yeah,
on
second.
no, no,
now.
no,
Wait,
no.
wait.
Everybody hold fast. Everybody
Okay.
hold fast. Because I want to get this off the screen. Shout out to Serious Rock. Okay, he says black women want black men to find femininity somewhere else.
Oops.
There it
Now,
is.
now I'm gonna say
Yep.
this is powerful right here because this is what it comes down to at the end of the day. As a black man, they're not trying to give it to you, which means by default they do want you to find it somewhere else. Okay. Now, I'm gonna say this on Emperor's behalf. At the end of the day, he gave an example. That doesn't mean it didn't. Certain things would happen on a regular basis. That's an example. Now, my thing is this, y'all. It takes some work to actually be feminine because number one, you got to do what normal black women aren't doing. You got to actually go to the store and buy you some
I know.
dresses. You got to actually start being nice to black men. You got to actually wear
Wear
heels all the time.
stockings.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Trust said in the chat something about a slip. I can't tell you how many years that have passed since the last time I seen a woman in a
Wow.
slip.
Yeah, it's
My
probably
wife
been
wears
decades at
them.
this
My
point.
wife
You know what
wears
I'm
them.
Hey, you know,
saying?
but
Depending on
Roger,
what she wearing, she
It
wears
all
them.
depends what read you in.
hey, you just actually proved my point because I told you earlier that being feminine was a manipulation tactic, and the guy Turf said they be smiling all in my face, and you literally just told them they smile in your face to get something. So more times than not, when they being feminine, they trying to get something out of you.
Yeah,
You
black
So it's a
wait, wait,
manipulation
hold on.
tactic.
Sorry, Roger. Can I
Hold
just go real
on,
quick? Because
hold
I
on.
do want to ask him a question so that the answer might be able to
Yeah,
help him. It's a real simple
well,
question. Do you
go
think
ahead, man.
do you think the love they want from you and the stuff they do to get it is not manipulation? Think on
Ask
that
the
for a
question
minute.
again. Ask the
Do you,
question
do
again.
you think the love they want from you and the things that they do to get it from you is not manipulation?
Yeah, I think it is manipulation.
Okay then.
So then what are we talking about?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Roger. I'm
as
sorry.
I was gonna say,
Brother,
no, that's absolutely fine, and right in line where I was gonna go. I've said multiple times, the women manipulate the world so they can get what they want. That's
right.
what they do. They're not gonna fight you over it. They're gonna manipulate you. And guess what? All manipulation is not bad. It's like you got this mindset that manipulation has to be negative. No, manipulation can be positive. And guess what? My my mother. See, there was a time when my mom and father they were in love and they got married and all that good stuff. You think my mother would manipulate my daddy so my daddy would think she's the right one?
Yep, exactly.
Of course she
Okay.
did stuff to make sure my dad would think she the right one. How's she gonna get married if he don't think she the right one? Why would
Yeah,
he give her kids if he don't think she the right one? There
but not.
always gonna be some level of manipulation going on. Okay, always gonna be some level. Now,
Yeah, but not.
now,
I'm sorry.
Chef Mike's Roundtable says, and True Teller, stop talking over everyone. Ninja, we know you from New York. I'm gonna say shout out to New York, y'all. Shout
Shout out
out
to
to New
Chef.
York,
Shout out
okay?
to Chef.
But all right, and we got a couple other guys that just came up, y'all. We got my main man, Perfect Timing Podcast, who just came up, and Jado has come up as well. So of course I'm gonna give them the mic. So Perfect Timing, you got it, my brother.
Good morning, everybody. Salute. Good morning.
Good morning.
Y'all say good morning to Perfect Time when he
Salute.
show
Good
up.
morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Good morning, sir.
What's up, man?
Nah,
What's up?
I'm kidding y'all. I'm kidding y'all. But
So Roger, I just wanted to chime in because you said being feminine is not easy, and I remember we had a similar conversation about this, and I remember it was about a young man. Somebody giving an echo. Somebody got mute up. It was a young man in a car at a gas station. Remember that video? That was a great conversation, and
yes,
the
sir. Yes, sir.
young man wouldn't get out the car and pump the gas. And he was like, man, just go pump the gas. You always pump the gas, talking to the woman. So in that situation, it really like the roles of femininity and masculinity have changed. Some could argue that women have changed them, but in that day, we talked about how you were raised and your sisters were raised. And in my experiences with dating non-black women, and the truth is, it can be challenging for a black man from a certain environment dating a woman where it's not hard work to be feminine, because some things that we think are normal, which are not feminine, they don't do. Like we discussed, like your mom or some of the non-black women are dated. If you go to the gas station, they wouldn't get out the car. It's not to be antagonizing, but they've never been required to because they had a father, they have brothers, and there were always men actually helping define what femininity was for them. So certain things, when you date a certain woman, they don't even know to do. Like certain non-black women are not gonna open the door, and it's not that she's expecting me to open the door, it's that she's just never done it. Right? So and these are things that you like, wow, I'm now understanding femininity from a different perspective as I move out of my comfort zone, right? Because in certain cultures, and it's not just black, in the Bay Area, you got Filipino and a lot of Pacific Islanders, you have strong feminine roles in family. So it's not just black where you find where you don't have this natural femininity where women have to try. So Black Uru says something very important. It's up to you to, when your discernment of whether or not this woman is naturally, easily, carelessly. It used to be like careless, it would be in commercials for women products. Carelessly feminine. You know what I'm saying? Like in the old movies where you got to lay down a coat and she about to fall into a puddle because she's so carelessly feminine. That's how the movies was when we grew up in the 50s. Like she was a damsel in distress. I'm not making these terms up. We grew up with damsels in distress who didn't know any better, who needed masculine men because they were so feminine, they would find themselves in problems. So much so that we would admire Black women because they were not damsels in distress. One of the things that for a time before this time of the YouTube Black manosphere, these things were coveted before Black men knew to covet femininity. We would covet the fact and tout that our women weren't damsels in distress because they couldn't be. They were single mothers. So,
Let me interject. Let me interject there, brother.
Well,
We were taught to covet that by the women that were running these single family households. It was not proper. It never was.
no,
But go on.
I'm not saying it's proper. I'm just laying out these lines, these ley lines, because what we're talking about is being feminine hard. It's not hard if you grow up in an environment of where femininity is protected and encouraged. Like if you have a father and you have brothers and you have masculine men, you fall into femininity, right? There's no going to go buy a dress. You never were allowed to wear pants. When I date this girl, it's very different than when I date a girl from another culture. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some of the girls wear jeans, they wear pants. Now I date this girl, she's never had a pair of pants. So she's not trying to be this thing. She doesn't wear pants. Her mother never bought her pants. She only wore dresses. She only combed her hair. That was the culture and environment, right? And those of us who have ventured out of our comfort zones, then it's a jarring effect when you date this girl. You thinking she might be antagonizing. No, she grew up in a home where she wasn't allowed to wear pants. That's foreign to you. What? Yeah, I grew up in the Baptist church. My dad and my mom, I never wore pants. We wore dresses. I never had a pair of pants in my life. You thought she was being mean to you, but you don't know real femininity. And I think that's where the conversation has been. The conversation has been spiraling this morning because there's different forms of femininity. It's like there's different types of Blackness. It's not, you know what I'm saying? So if you date this, my wife is Sicilian. I know Mr. X, like Pacific Islander. This is not unique to Black people. There are other cultures where you have strong women that are not so feminine. They don't grow up in this aspect that I'm talking about. So it just depends on what type of woman or what type of femininity you find attractive or is going to benefit you and your family structure. If you date a Sicilian woman or Pacific Island or somebody who has this matriarchal, this ati, then you understand that in her home, the women had a certain role and men had a certain role. It may be difficult for her to be feminine in the style that we tradition. You understand what I'm saying? Because as a Filipino woman, her mother and grandmother weren't feminine in the Disney Western sense, but they're still feminine.
All right, let me jump in here, y'all. Now, shout out to Mr. Suge to you. He says opening statement. Now, I'm gonna take that he's giving a warning, whether he meant it this way or not, because he part of the pit crew. He's giving a warning, y'all. Do not interrupt people's opening statement. Because everybody, sometimes people short on time. If you come to the Roger Report Live, I want to make sure everybody at least get an opening statement is. That's because I come from a big family, and it was plenty of times I wanted to say something, but because I was a kid or too young or whatever, I didn't get to say nothing. And I hate people trying to have a conversation with me where I don't get to say nothing. I don't like that. So I'm definitely not going to have that done on my channel. So y'all leave folks.
I apologize.
No,
I
brother, it's
apologize,
cool.
brother.
But I'm just saying it for everybody in general purposes. When people making their opening statements, let them finish, y'all, before we get back to the conversation. And we got two other people here. And then when you stop a person, usually they're going to do exactly what Perfect Timing did. They're going to now go into a whole different thing, and it's going to be much longer at the end of the day. But because it's Perfect Timing podcast and I like them, I'm letting it roll. So it ain't no big deal. So you know what I'm saying? Y'all yes, I've told y'all before, there is favoritism over here at the Roger Report Live. It is what it is. So it's all good. He's been rocking with me for a long time, and we ain't seen him in a while anyway. So shout out to Perfect Time. So, but I do now have a Jado that needs to get in, and we got Perfect. Excuse me, and we got the nameless protagonist who is now here who needs to get in. So let me say this real quick, y'all. I can't ever remember my sisters in a vehicle with a man and they drove. I don't remember none of them doing that. Honestly, I don't know if it's ever gonna come up. Not with adult men. I can see if they with children. I don't remember my mama driving no car with a man in the car. I don't remember that. I can remember her drive when I was a kid, and dad wasn't there, so she was driving. And technically, she had males in the car, but there was no adult male in the vehicle. I don't, I've made a lot of jokes about guys that I saw on the passenger side. I ain't gonna go into what these jokes were. They weren't the most complimentary, I'll say that. Because when I started seeing guys on the passenger side on a regular basis, to me, that was a very abnormal thing. And I looked at it as something's wrong with you because you're on the passenger side. I'm just telling you, that's just what it was, okay? But let me let these other brothers get in. Jado and the nameless protagonist can go right behind him. And I'm gonna say this, y'all. I got two people backstage, so I'm gonna be switching people out here and there. It don't mean you gotta go away. It don't mean I'm kicking you off, but I'm gonna be switching people out so other people can get. Matter of fact,
Roger, I'll drop.
I wasn't gonna make nobody drop, brother. Okay,
That's cool.
that's
I
literally what
got
I
to
was
go
saying.
anyway. It's
Okay,
cool.
now, all right. Well, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. All right. Matter of fact, Jado, I hate to do this to you, but I see what it is. I gotta let this brother go first. We got the Ivy Leaguer in the building. Uh, uh, now I can't read your name; it's just too long, brother. So you gonna have to tell us what it is.
Easy for Brock, hard for Michelle, but I'll go after Jado and Nameless. It's okay.
Okay, Jado, you got it, brother.
Hey, good morning. Salute to all the fellas on the panel, everybody in chat, replay gang. Shout out to y'all as well. Salute, brother. My 2 cents, man. Like, I mean, I love these discussions, Roger, because when you say feminine, we don't have I'm more of an analytical, I guess, mathematical type of person. We don't have any direct measures of this. You know what I'm saying? There's no numbers we can put to it, but if you ask 100 different black men or 100 different men in general about femininity or being feminine coming from a woman, they will all have different ideas. It would differ slightly, but I guess in a general sense, we all be going in the same direction. But is being feminine hard work for black women? I think it is, man. I absolutely think it is, and the reason why I think is because when women have a contempt for you or disdain, hatred or dislike or whatever word you want to use to what degree, it's difficult for them to be feminine towards that person. And that's what I've seen throughout my entire life. And that's what it is, man. When you have some hate towards the your male counterparts, then it will be very difficult. And I think a lot of black men, as a whole, of course, this doesn't apply to all, don't want to admit that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we don't see the femininity, because they have contempt for us as a whole. As a whole, I took a trip to Washington D.C. not a couple years back, about 3-4 years back or whatever. I was with a Southeast Asian woman, very, very, very long hair, and we were walking the streets of DC a little bit, and she had a very, very long dress on, man. Like the dress was to her calves, man. And I was getting strange looks from the black women around, very strange looks. And it was just, and it's something that I'm not quite used to, quite frankly, because yeah, I grew up here in the U.S. And I'll just say also, and I'll end right here. When I lived overseas, man, in Japan, man, I saw a level of femininity from their women that didn't know existed, man. I did not know existed. It was kind of mind blowing and shocking to me. You know what I'm saying? So us being like black FBA men or ADOS or whatever you want to call it, I think we get caught up in our just being in this culture or whatever, not seeing different things, and we have no idea of what's really out there. And our idea of femininity may be very, very warped and inverted. And I'll end right there. Appreciate you having me up, bro.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. We gonna give it to Nameless, but y'all, he did put a room. I just saw his room inquiry. Anybody from Detroit live in Detroit or have relatives in Detroit? Just so he knows, y'all. Just so he knows. So if that fits you, just put Detroit in the chat so he knows that's referring to that particular comment. Okay, but yeah, Nameless, you got the flow, my brother. You got the flow.
You don't want to hurt those Detroit feelings.
Yo, well, go ahead. Let Easy for Barack, Hard for Michelle go first before I do, because I have something else I want to do. Also, y'all can click that link I put in the chat because it relates to that Detroit question. I'll refer back to that.
Okay.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm in the middle of something. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, firstly, to the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os.
Y'all gotta unmute and say "os," y'all, just so y'all know. Okay. Yeah, when he does that, y'all gotta unmute and say "os." Okay, that should be a regular thing here.
From the hoes in Detroit, us.
Yo, we getting derailed off the jump. Okay. So, a few things I wanted to say on this, and it was really building on what Jado had already said. And I'm not going to label it as pushback to perfect timing. What I want to do is build on what he's saying and what I think we're all fundamentally recognizing. There's a difference between masculinity and femininity as inherent beings of just being human. And it's really related to core foundational aspects of reality. Masculine energy gives direction, it directs. Feminine energy receives and retains. It's not that difficult. It's something that is inherent, it's recognized. There's aspects of the inverse polarity in all things. In Taoism and the training we got in ninjutsu, we understood this as inyo or yin yang. If you pull up an image of a yin yang right now, I don't know if I got emotes and let me type this real quick. And there we go. You can see, if you look at the yin yang itself, that what did it do to the image? It disappeared on me. I put it in chat so folks could see it, but if you look at the image of the yin yang, there's a dot to the corresponding color there. Those are known as young iterations of each. So the black dot that's in the yang there is known as young yin, and the white dot within the yin portion is known as young yin. And it represents these counterbalances that are there. And what we find is that, especially here, due to what happened to us in general, our entire narrative, we just fundamentally have not been in a general position to foster a level of stability as a culture for black women to model the European socialization of what these things look like. So they've had to fall back on more of a yang yin sort of modality of being. What that means is, if you've seen lions protecting children, the female lionesses will have a measure of martiality, aggression, and direction of energy. They're not supposed to be like that all the time, however. And that's kind of the difference in why we get these comparisons to Klingons brought up quite often. And it becomes very stark when you come across other groups of women who, for prolonged periods of time, haven't had to experience that. I think this is furthermore exacerbated by the fact that, and it was mentioned somewhat earlier, one of our hidden strengths as individuals from the continent and even in our diaspora when we find our ways over here our women's capacity to operate in that modality as a last ditch resort and a fundamental reset button is legendary. The overwhelming majority of why a lot of colonialization methods on the continent were successful is because they convinced the women not to go through with the follow-up. Whenever there were situations where the men were compromised or put in a place where they couldn't fight back, the women showed up as the trump card to reset everything from scratch and restore the masculine principle back to its order again. We see this all throughout our mythology, and it's a kind of mythology I just don't see consistency with other cultures, and it plays out in the way we have an understanding of roles. So what's interesting is what we see now is a situation where that's been inverted towards us. It's seen as you don't need to go restore that masculine modality, you can just do it yourself. And we saw that begin to play out with the suffragist movement, and we all know the story from there. So the end result ends up being that disproportionately, we don't have a cultural experience truly rooted in that default setting of not having equilibrium, but having this expectation for women to operate more so on that yin yang. And when we get across other groups of people who don't have to operate that way, who have had cultural inertia to provide that. We see this all the time medically with the go make him a plate argument. We're just happy to be there at some Spanish chick's cookout, and we go and we make our own plate, and then her whole family's looking at this chick like she's crazy because you did that. You flip the script, you go to FBA family meeting, it's the same issue. But then you go to somebody whose family is from the continent, first or second generation, and you see the same thing. This is not on accident. So I guess what I'm highlighting here is there's a difference between unamendable, baseline, fundamental, masculine and feminine principle, and then the socialization. And I will say our socialization within the black intellectual social complex is very reflective of what we've had to do to make it up to this point. And that's why we notice these variations. So when you make a statement, Roger, like being feminine is hard, we're speaking a lot to the performative femininity that's there. They've got that feminine aspect. It's intrinsic. It's supposed to be encouraged. It's supposed to be passed on. But oftentimes, we've got so many external socialization pieces that have reframed that as weakness. And this is where we get where we are today.
You know what? No, I'm not going to tell my mom. Well, no, let me say it real quick. Y'all keep in mind, the title of the show is Being Feminine is Hard Work, because we're nowhere near where I intended this conversation to go, and that's okay, because it's been very good and very interesting in the first place, okay? I'm going to say shout out to Jessica real quick, y'all. Jessica's a young lady that, Jessica, you're always welcome to be here. This is Jessica in like 16, okay? Now, I've personally told Jessica I don't like her, because I don't. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Now, that don't mean Jessica's a terrible person. She's just a person that I don't personally happen to like, which I don't really say a whole lot about that. You know what I'm saying? About who I like and who I don't like, but I don't like Jessica. You know what I'm saying? Because Jessica tries to be very annoying. She tries to come off in this feminine way, but you can kind of tell she ain't had much training on being feminine. You know what I'm saying? But I do like the fact that she has some potential. Jessica, I do actually credit you for coming back around, and I appreciate you being here, because I know this is definitely a channel you need personally. This is definitely a channel you need. So don't ever feel unwelcome. I always try to make you welcome. I don't personally like you, and that's okay, but I want you to be here, okay? Because you need this content just as much as some of the men need this content. That's just real talk at the end of the day. And I'm going to tell you what's going on my show, because she did ask a question in the chat. The show is what it is because that's what I say it is. It's my show. So to ask why it's not something else is just you being stupid. Why would you ask why the show not something else? Because it ain't your show. That's why whatever you thought it was supposed to be, it ain't that. Because they don't come to listen to you, but they do come to listen to me. Okay, so I make shows based on what I want them to be. It's that simple at the end of the day. Why would you even question that as a woman? Why would you question that as an intelligent person? See, Jessica does things like this, which is why I don't like Jessica. She's not a good representative of black women, in my opinion. She's just not. She's a very poor representative of black women. But because she's a black woman, I want her to be better. And I don't have to pretend I like her because I want her to be better. She is in a state of a person that I don't like. And that's just what it is. But I hope Jessica keep coming around so she will become the type of person that I do like. Now, I'm not going to ever try to change Jessica. She got to make those changes for herself. Just is what it is on that note. Okay? So, hopefully she'll be able to last through that and she don't have to take it as me, quote unquote, bash her. No, I'm just telling the truth. I just don't like you. Okay? Ever since I met you, the very first time, you said a whole lot of stuff. And I just know you're a very negative person. You don't even think that highly of yourself. And no black woman should really operate the way you do. But I hope you do keep coming around so you can improve yourself. And that's real talk. Let me get easy for Barack, hard for Michelle in here. You got the flow, my brother. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Salute to you, Roger. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to Jessica. And shout out to all the hosts.
all the Jessicas all around the world.
So I'm hearing what the fellas are saying, and being feminine is hard work. And I know what Roger want to say. These hoes are too lazy, and that's why feminism is hard work. I mean, why being feminine is hard work. I understand that, but I think we have to look a tad deeper, because when we look at colonial rule, and we look at how black women operate in colonial rule, it's going to be hard for them to be feminine. And for the simple reason is this. I'll give you a little story. Louis was bigger than the other chicks. When he hung out with the other chicks, the other chicklets made fun of him. And as Louis grew older, right, Louis looked different than the other chicks as they became chickens. But he ate the same food, he pecked, ate the worms, and all that good stuff. But, later on, Truth Teller comes over and saw Louis, like, Louis, what you doing here? You're a damn duck. Right? And that's the situation here. Women are being raised as chickens, but they're ducks. And because they were never taught how to be a duck, all they can do is imitate a chicken. And I used to believe that a little bit of femininity used to be in them. But as new study shows, that fellas, they're even cutting up in front of white men. They even cutting up around white men. So if you can't act right for the dude that want to give you mixed babies with good hair, you know what I mean? If you can't be feminine for him, of course you're gonna say to the world you're a single mother to the first black president. Of course you're gonna say that nigga better not touch that thermostat. Of course you're gonna say, oh, I couldn't stand him, I didn't want him to win. Of course you're not gonna be a supportive woman. Because at the end of the day, all you know how to do is to be a duck. Right? And and that's it. And so at the end of the day, and of course you're gonna say, well, I don't need, my children don't need a father. Right? Because that is duck behavior. And that's all they know how to do and be, because of the environment they were put in the socialization, as Nameless said. So at the end of the day, this is where I would say we have to give black women a break here, because, like, you're asking for a magic show, right? You go, I mean, don't be that dude. Don't be that dude at the restaurant. It says burgers. It says burgers on the sign, and then you come in here asking for pizza. Don't be that dude. I'm passing the mic on that.
That was well said right there.
That was
That was
That was a
another
great
way to put it.
metaphor right there. Perfect
That's another
metaphor.
way. He just
Yeah,
did his. That was his epigenetic argument. He just did it in a different way.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, at the end of the
exactly.
day,
Perfect
don't
metaphor.
be that nigga going to the burger shop, talking about I need a pizza. Don't be
Yeah,
that guy.
exactly. Yeah, perfect. Well said right there. And I think what happened though too is that again the black women women have been listening to each other and be getting the wrong advices, and it goes into politics as well. And when you mix the women's movement with politics and all that type of stuff, it makes it very hard to maintain. Do you ever get a family and everything else because of it? Relationships gets breaking up and everything else. Um, Women, depend on the government and everything else, and that's how things get. That's how things just get messed up and everything else.
Yo, I wanna respond to what Nameless said. I want to say thank you to Nameless for coming up because I totally agree, and he basically everything he said is where I was attempting to go. It's funny that he came up because as I listened to the conversation, I thought about how Nameless helped me understand blackness and hot sauce too. Whenever he talked about blackness, he always talked about how whiteness defined blackness. So as I'm hearing the conversation, I'm really hearing, because we've talked about before how masculinity, how Roger said his mother never drove. This is how masculinity defines femininity, right? And when we talk about the environment, right, certain environments are going to make it, like Nameless said, like even Jado, when in Japan, it's an environmental thing where this thing where they feel in a way to be feminine, right? So I didn't really want to, I don't want to go to blaming the men. I don't know if that was Roger's, goal, but there's a lot to it when you hear Roger say, "My mama never drove," and when he says that, when I see men in the passenger seat, I think a certain way, because if you're in the passenger seat, then that woman is not allowed to be as feminine as you may require or you may expect. And whose fault is that, right? So it's like I love that we reached that point in the conversation of like what is, how and why is it hard, right? Who and what is making it hard, and what would make it something that, like I said before, effortlessly. I think what Jado experienced in Japan is that effortless, careless femininity, right? With unabashed, right? That damsel, you know what I'm saying? Right? Like completely like not trying to be, but only existing as, right? And back to the yin and the yang. And when you say hard in this environment, femininity looks very different when you have to try. I think as men, we could all agree to that because we've all had that woman that we've desired, and we noticed that because she liked us, she tried to be feminine, and she was not typically like that with other men. She might have ran the other men she was around, but because she found us to be attractive and we're that type of man, she would try to conform, and it still wouldn't work because real men need that, like the real chicken, like hot sauce was saying, like if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it's a duck. And like, baby, I love you, and I love how you twerk it like a chicken, but I got to get me a real chicken because I can. Now another man might have to live with the chicken acting duck because he can't get a chicken, but a lot of times it'd be like, no, babe, you know what it is, I can get me a chicken. You feel me? That's what I be saying to Roger a lot of time. I know Roger done been through a lot, and Roger's the type of dude that could get a chicken. Why you keep dating the ducks that know how to act like a chicken? Like you really a guy that could get a chicken. That's the only reason I bring it up. Some men I wouldn't even say it. Like you probably wouldn't know how to, handle it. That's what I said earlier. Like you grew up in an environment where the femininity wouldn't be so jarring to you. It would be something that you would know how to cultivate and water. You know what I'm saying? Versus like Nameless said, somebody going to go get the plate at the barbecue. You know what I'm saying? Like not cultivating that femininity. But some of us
Yeah,
like the duck. But
yeah.
if you have the ability to get the chicken and the discernment and tell the difference between the duck and the chicken, That's why a lot of us be like SYSBM, like, brother, it's a lot of chickens over here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing: a duck ain't gonna get you no plate because they ain't got no hands.
And I'm gonna say yes, brother. I expect wheels to be on the car. Now,
Yes.
somebody out there in the audience may argue, well, it's cars out there with no wheels on them. You gonna buy one of those? Is that what you're interested? Yeah. If I look hard enough, I can find a car with no wheels. So I can go to a neighborhood. It's gonna be a car sitting on cinder blocks or something, or it's gonna be a car like in the yard that ain't drove in a good 12, 13, 14 months. They exist, but that ain't what I'm looking for. And that's real talk. So yeah, me, I have an expectation of femininity, and my expectation of femininity has offended some women, and that's just real talk. Because I'll sit down and I'll be like, yeah, she gonna make us some plays. Now I didn't discuss this with her. I just expected because she's a woman, she'll do things that women do, and there's women who've been offended by that, and women who've gotten upset with that, and I've literally said that. Oh, my bad. I expected you to act like a woman. And they don't take that very well. Not saying I was trying to be extra mean. I'm just saying what it is.
You put the mirror up. She didn't know she was a duck.
No.
You put the mirror up. And that's like in the cartoons of Disney where the first time they go over to the pond and they look and see I'm an ugly duckling. That's what Roger be doing. You knew she was a duck, Roger, when you brought her to the barbecue and you put the mirror up. Now she over there looking embarrassed because she thought she was a chicken. Now Roger didn't put the mirror. She seeing her reflection for the first time.
Because Roger went to the burger place asking for pizza.
Nah, y'all giving them too much credit. They know they ducks, bro. They know it, bro. They know it. They proud. They proud of it. And as a matter of fact, anytime you let them know something about them that you don't like, they come up with a way to make it popular. That's why they came up with fat shaming and all that other stuff. They know what you want. They just don't want to give it to you.
Yeah, because they can't. I mean, it's just in them. It's just innate in them. Whatever a black man say, give the opposite. It's just in them. It's trained in them. Right? It's trained in them to be disagreeable with you. Like you can go to any. I mean, it's not only here. Go to Colombia, where where the black population is. Right, 80% of them are single mothers. They don't get along either. None of them get married. It's just in wherever there's colonial rule. Kenya too, in Africa, wherever there is colonial rule, she is going to be disagreeable with you.
Man, rejection is their favorite sport.
Yeah. But I mean, but that's the point, right? They're just, but they don't know. But I don't know. They don't know why they're disagreeable, but they're just disagreeable. It's just automatic. It's second nature.
Well,
yes,
I'm gonna
I
say for
agree.
me. Well, go ahead, Champ. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically, as I said again, colonialism, feminism, the women's movement and the feminist movement was based on white supremacy and everything else. So when you're being taught that, whether it's in Africa or the Caribbean or Latin America, you're taught to be very disagreeable and everything else, especially towards, a black man who's black person and everything else, especially a black man. You're taught to go ahead and be disagreeable, argumentative, combative, and everything else. That's why, it's very hard to try to continue on with the black family structure and everything else.
Well, now I'm just gonna say I think it's healthy, especially for black men, to have an expectation for women to act like women, and when women don't act like women, it's okay to say, "Oh, I expected you to act like a woman." If I go into any random woman's home and I dig through her drawers, I expect to find panties because she's a woman. I do not expect to see the same thing that I got my underwear drawer in her underwear drawer.
But
That would be odd.
But Roger, if you go in her drawer, you find a dildo, a blunt, and some tampons. Are you gonna be surprised?
I'm not gonna necessarily say I'm surprised.
Okay, so then who? But then who's the problem here?
Yeah. Uh, well, hold on, y'all. We got another interesting guest
Why
coming
you
in.
going through the woman's panty drawer, Roger? Why?
No, I said
I'm
if I were to go to a random woman's home. See, my thing is she's a woman. I expect to see panties.
Don't even put the random woman. You should. That's making it worse. Why are you going through a random?
Technically, I would. Maybe I'm performing an inspection. I wouldn't necessarily go into a random woman's
I'm
drawer,
just
but
saying.
yeah.
It's too late, Roger. You walked into that one. It's too late.
He a damn cat burglar.
My point is
Hey,
this.
Roger, hey, Roger, can I make one statement?
But
I just want to make one quick statement.
Go ahead.
Again, I see how I was talking about being feminine was a mindset, and y'all have shown that y'all are narrowing down to some draws.
Brother, honestly, I think you're missing it.
Was taking a nap, man. He just
yeah.
The other guy was narrowing it down to a female wearing pants. So if she wear pants, she probably not feminine. Like, come on.
I'm gonna say
He
with
missed the whole
as much
point.
respect as I can, that brother, the way you process information needs to be worked on. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, because I mean, but because my point is this, man. Listen, you'll find some panties, but you're gonna find some blunt. You're gonna find some weed. You're gonna find some dildos, the rose. You're gonna find other stuff.
Exactly. He just
Yeah.
proved my
Hold
point.
fast, y'all. Hold fast, real quick. We got somebody coming up with the name Shakiri. Don't beat me. I think I know who this is. I so I want to see if I'm right. Shakiri, don't beat me. You have the floor.
What up, y'all? How y'all doing?
I'm doing
Peace,
well.
peace.
Not who I thought it was. But how you doing, bro? Go
Everything
ahead.
good. So look, I want to just jump and make a quick statement real quick. I'm gonna try not to be long. Try to keep it concise. I think that women don't like that we have expectations and that we have some standards. And I think the response to that is, "How dare you? Who do you think you are? You dirty ass nigga." And I think that's very problematic. I think that being feminine is difficult. It's a lot to get up, comb your hair, do all the things that comes with being a woman and things like that. But also because of some of the cultural norms that we have, and because we don't like certain things and have preferences and things like that, that it's looked at wild because the black women have a poor opinion of us. Like the bar is low in their eyes towards us, and that we can never be enough. So when we say, especially men such as us who are trying to be, upward mobile, educated, things like that, and actually make a difference, who do you think you are to say anything? You're not even the preference, and the preference for what they want is low. So for us to, have something to say about how we want things and how we prefer things, like, it's like, nigga, who do you think you are? Shut up and take what I give you.
All right, now let me say quickly, y'all. Let's watch it on the cursing. Let's watch it on the cursing. I'm trying to have people who don't want a lot of cursing be able to sit down and watch the content, even possibly share it with their children, because I know a lot of the stuff kids need to get. And I'm really putting this out so some adults can learn to actually start sharing this with kids, grandkids, nephews, nieces, so on and so forth. I'm trying to get this back in the black families again. Okay, but if you give people an excuse to take offense, then a lot of times they'll just turn it away at the end of the day. I'm trying to make what you can't even make a decent argument for turning the content away. That's
I
all.
apologize to you,
But
Roger, the
don't worry about
camera,
it.
and
Don't worry about
everybody
it.
else.
It's no biggie. No biggie. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have to say that from time to time because we'll always be getting new people from time to time. It ain't the end of the
Hey,
world.
Hey,
hey,
Thank
Roger.
you for
brother.
letting me know.
Hey, hey, Roger. And this is not me disagreeing with you. I'm posing a question, bro. And as far as like me, when I was in the same household with my daughters, they would be required to do things for me, like bring me this, go do this, so keep this up for me, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They were required. That was part of them being my daughter. It's required. But how much energy, time should a black man expend on trying to train these women up on being feminine?
No,
Not including family members.
yeah, that's honestly that's up to anybody to what they're willing to do. Because at the end of the day, you're a grown man. And you got to live your life and do what's good for you. So it's really just what you're willing to do, you know. And because a lot of times a lot of brothers ain't gonna necessarily be willing, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to keep the content better, so they can just tell a woman to go listen to this.
I think
Hey,
our
Roger,
primary
Roger.
focus should be improving ourselves as men and putting ourselves in a position to be able to make those kind of calls as to what goes on in our households and our communities. If we are the best leaders possible, the best possible option that they can even imagine coupling themselves with, they don't have any choice but to follow.
Can
And
I
I
Well,
think
respond
we
to
should
that?
well, yeah,
focus on
yeah.
that.
Hold fast. I'm gonna say
Okay.
history says that's a lie. They do have a choice to not follow. And black women are very much capable of not following good choices. They prove that every day based on who they procreate with.
Got you.
I'm just
I,
saying.
I
Now,
want
So,
I want
no, hold fast,
I
hold
want to
fast,
ask a question real
Tun-
quick.
hold,
You
hold,
got
hold fast. Tunnel Runner came up. I got to let Tunnel Runner get in. Okay, Tunnel Runner, you got it, and then perfect time we'll come back to you since you was trying to say
no, I want
ask
I
a
was
question.
saying something first, but I have to go after
Okay,
Tunnel
well
Runner.
then we get you, then we'll get perfect timing.
I wanted to say something too, but I'll wait.
Okay, then
Okay.
after perfect time we'll get Santana. Okay, Tunnel Runner, you have the flow, my brother.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to tell the brothers, you got to be careful because even if you bring a feminine woman around, certain women, they will try to make that feminine woman masculine. You have to protect your woman because these women do not want to, as as one of my sisters, when my wife was being her regular self, wanted to take care of me and take care of my brother, she was told not to serve us. That's not what goes on here. That she doesn't need to do that. So I had to take my wife out of the situation, and so she could be the feminine woman that she is. And when brothers go overseas, I seen brothers break down because they don't even know how to handle, like Truth Teller was saying, they don't even know how to handle some of these feminine women. They think it's some kind of, like you said, some kind of this is some kind of trick. What's going on here? Why is this woman trying to wash my feet? Why is this woman trying to feed me? What's wrong with this? Why is this woman trying to be nice to me and smiling? They are confused by that. It takes them some time to realize that it's a different kind of femininity can be is something that some of them have never seen before. Don't really know what a real feminine woman is. And some of these guys are 40, 50 years old, and they almost want to cry when they get a real woman that's being nice to them, smiling to them, doing the extras for them. They just can be, you can see brothers just like breaking down. So just say, when you get a real feminine woman, a woman that wants to treat you and love you and be kind to you and cook for you and clean for you and respect you, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well said, brother. Well said. Okay, easy for Barack. You got it. Then perfect time, and then Santana.
Yeah, I just want to respectfully push back on the brother Kevin when he said when we work on ourselves, improve ourselves. That yeah, that's like first of all, people can't change people, right? I mean, they crucified Jesus, so and if Jesus can't do it, the Bible says that Jesus couldn't do miracles because the people wouldn't believe. So if Jesus can't do it, how can we? And the second thing, what really grinds my gears is that black men have done the work. We don't have child pregnancies like the '90s. There's more kids going to college than jail. On top of being white supremacists, on top of white supremacy, where kids are being punished 11 and 16 times more for the same crimes, or being punished even when they're innocent because of plea bargain deals, because they don't even get their time in court. 90% of black men don't get their time in court because of plea bargaining deals. But despite all these obstacles, we still improved. We still worked on ourselves. And now we still have people saying that, oh, we need to do a little bit better to get our women. No, the women are not going to do it no matter what you do because they practice white supremacy. and we got to stop telling black men to do better in order to make someone treat you well. That's insanity because black men already are the best fathers America has to offer. Black men are reasonable and reasonable and productive to American society. We have to get away from that because as long as we're doing that, we're giving women an out and excuse to continue their bad behavior. And so I just want to push back
No,
there.
no, no.
There's
Yeah,
you telling the truth.
hold fast. Don't say nothing about it, y'all. We gonna make that a whole show. We gonna make that a whole show. Cause I'm gonna get into that because that is something that does come up from time to time. Because I like Kevin, and I don't think Kevin meant any malice, but I think it's a concept that really needs to be talked about with heavy discussion. I might make it tomorrow's show. I might change what I'm doing, make it tomorrow's show. We'll see. We'll see how I feel.
I
Okay.
hold it. I hold it.
Okay.
I hold it.
Yeah. All right.
But
So
let me make my play here, right? At the end of the day, niggas are wearing condoms. And pass it
all right, let's give it to Perfect Timing Podcast. After him, we're gonna get in Santana because we are nearing the 3 hour mark, y'all. We got 5 minutes to go, literally. Okay. Perfect Timing, you got it, brother.
So while the conversation was going, I thought about the title, and you said we got off a little bit. So I wanted to unpack a little bit the scenario you brought up in the anecdotal scenario you brought up where you were at the barbecue and you sat down and you expected her, the Carter had Will, you expected her to make a plate. Like, to speaking to the topic, in that moment in time, is it hard? What's happening with her? Like, are you saying that, is it hard for her in that moment? What's happening with her? Is it because she doesn't know how to be feminine? Is it a choice? Like, what's going on in that moment? Like, you came in, you did what you did. And this is great that Hot Sauce made his point before I'm asking this question, because you are that guy, right? You are that hard-working, multiple jobs, good-looking. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that you need to do. You already above and beyond anything that she may ever require, right? You are the catch. So you supposed to come in the BBQ and take a seat, right? But what's going on the other side of the equation? Is it a difficulty? Is it a choice? Is it a lack of knowledge? What is it, Roger?
I think I'm gonna say primarily, I'm gonna say lack of expectation to be a woman. That's what I'm gonna say primarily, because me telling somebody to make a plate or saying that somebody's gonna make our plates without discussing it with her, what that tells me is never been a real expectation to her to serve a man, especially the man that she's particularly into it at that particular moment. Because if you with me, I'm the guy you're supposed to be into right now. So definitely, if you weren't gonna do it for another man, which women told me they're not gonna be nice to other men, don't leave that for the guy they're with. So if you with me and you're not being nice to me, that goes against women even saying they're gonna be nice to the guy that they with. So where is the expectation? My thing is maybe nobody put the expectation on her. Maybe a lot of men are afraid to put expectations on women because a lot of us been trained it's not your place. Because a lot of us come from single mother homes too. We got to take that into consideration. A lot of us go to places where they taught women are supposed to be out front. They don't not necessarily taught that you are a man and you are somebody. Most men have no idea that they are somebody in the overall black community. If we want to be real about it, it is not taught to you that you should be a somebody when you grow up. It's not taught to you that you have any level of status. You're basically told since the day you were born that you're a nobody, gonna always be a nobody. Your daddy was a nobody, and I expect you to be a nobody too. So for her to have to confront a man putting an expectation on her, especially without discussing it with her, because a lot of y'all been taught to be soft. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying whoever it applies to. You've been taught to be soft. You've been taught that you have to go get a woman's permission for everything. So telling her to fix a plate means a level of authority that you have on her. And most y'all don't want anything to do with that authority based on how you were taught as a child. That's not an issue for me. So for her, it was just getting past the expectation that this man is telling me what to do or suggesting what I should do. But when I told her, no, you a woman, so I expect you to act like a woman, now it takes her away from a battle toward me to the battle within herself. Because she has an image. And I've told y'all time and time again, Black women care about their image more than anything. So now in this moment where somebody is saying, hey, you're a woman, so I expect you to act like a woman, she can argue with me about that. Or she can deal with the fact that she doesn't want to represent herself as a non-woman in front of me and all these other people that don't even know her. We're about to pick up information about you. What you gonna do with it? Are you finna sit here in front of all these people and not be a woman so you can make your point? Or you gonna go and get that plate so you can at least look good in front of all these strangers? What you gonna do?
Hey, Ross, let me get in after Santana, man. I think
Okay.
that was Santana.
All right. Yep. Santana, you got it then. Perfect time. I hope that answered your question. I hope I made
No.
that clear.
That was a defining. I wanted to ask that to help define for the brothers in the listening and the replay gang about the discussion today. And I thought that was a perfect anecdotal moment for us to expound on what the topic actually is. I could go deeper, but I want to pass it down the panel. But thank you, Roger, for that clarification.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Santana, you got it. Then we're going to get Jado in here. And we are past the 3-hour mark. So couple more minutes, but we're going to wrap it up soon, y'all. Go ahead, Santana.
Yeah, fellas. Going forward, just understand being feminine is not hard work. And if you think so, ask yourself, is being masculine hard work or does it come naturally? And if it comes naturally, then it's practically the same thing for them. That's all I'm saying.
I see where you're coming from. But I would say being masculine literally comes with hard work. Who gonna put up the fence? Who gonna put up the house? Who gonna install the security system? Who gonna go get the kids? There's a lot of hard work that comes with being masculine. I, in the sense of it should be easy for you as a person to accept it. I agree with that sentiment because that's where you were going with it. But I do want to put out there, there's literally a lot of hard work that goes with masculinity because you have to protect people. You got to protect your family. You got to protect your community. You got to protect folks from things like the winter. Anybody in Chicago understands what I'm saying. Places around the country who have hard winters, when the streets get full with snow, somebody got to get the snow out the street. There's literally hard work that goes with these things. But I do agree with Santana that from a mental process, you shouldn't find it hard to accept masculinity if you're a man, the same way you shouldn't find it hard to accept femininity if you're a woman. But Jado, you got the flow, brother.
Hey, Roger, when you said, I guess we kind of veered off the direction of where you intended for the show to go in the beginning. So I think I caught where you were, I guess, your initial intention for the direction of the show. So with that being said, brother, yeah, I guess so. The men should be putting this expectation. We should be, overtly stating this stuff to these women. But like, just for your anecdote, man. Did this particular woman how was her behavior from then on out, man?
I mean, it was still. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, y'all, I got rid of them. So I mean,
No, okay, all right, got you. Cool. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you, sir.
Hey,
I
Roger,
think we
Roger,
should have knew that though.
Roger.
No,
I
it was
want
a
to
re-
go ahead.
it was more of a rhetorical question. I
No,
just
I
wanted
get
to
it.
put it out
I'm gonna
there.
say this. I'm
This
gonna
is
say
an
this.
habitual line stepper. We should have knew that, right? Get the
Well,
stepping, right?
I'm gonna say this. At the end of the day, we've had discussions. She tried to make certain efforts. She just failed when it come down to it. At least she failed
Oh,
with me.
okay.
But I do think it's a good thing that she failed with me because at least now she has something that she can take to the next man and improve upon herself. Because keep in mind, I don't even think it's natural that men and women are with a bunch of other people. But if you're gonna be with somebody, once you get dumped, if you're smart enough to self-reflect on why you got dumped, you can improve yourself to avoid that same issue for the next person. So technically, it should be a blessing to her at the end of the day. But
So
I had discussion with women about things that are important to me. If you can't see yourself where I am, I get rid of you, and that's just what it is at the end of the day.
real quick, you guys, because this is good because it's a complexity to this. So there is an expectation, but then it also goes back to what I think Jado experienced in Japan is that even with the expectation and what Nameless said, this pure femininity that we're expecting to be there, it should be effortless in its manifestation. And that's what I think Roger is saying, that yes, I'm going to place that expectation on her to be feminine, but if it's hard, like Hassauts was saying, if she's a duck, then I'm not going to choose her. It needs to be careless, effortless. This femininity, even in that moment, I think Jado, we said if she would have tried, I don't think that would have sufficed. If it was difficult for her, if she would have showed any angst in making the play, that's not the right person, because even though I play, like Hassan said, I did my part. I'm placing expectation. He's still expecting that femininity to be effortless and be pure, and from a place that's not put upon. So that's a complexity to it beyond the expectation. I just wanted to expound on that real quick.
And I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this. This is the thing, and just because it happened to appear right now. Shout out to Red Talk Anna. She said, "Hey, folks, what's good?" Red Talk Anna, we do 3-hour shows over here. Now, sometimes I stretch them a little longer, but this one ain't finna stretch that much more. But I would definitely recommend you watch the replay on this one. But I'm gonna say this, y'all, because perfect timing does have a point. This is the thing. When I put the expectation on you to fix my plate, I'm not expecting you to have. I don't expect you to have a battle with yourself from a place of who I am and the fact that I even brought you somewhere. But I am also realistic. If she's a black woman, me putting expectations on acting like a woman will a lot of times be a difficult thing for black women, because we have a society that does not push black women to act like women. And that's just the reality of the situation. The two most freest people in this country they've said plenty of times, which I do agree with, white men and black women. Because white men do what they want to do and they have an ideology that there's no one superior to them that can tell them not to do what they're doing. Black women also have that same ideology. They think there's nobody to tell them anything because white men don't want to tell them. They don't have an interest in it. Okay. And black men, they just in their mind feel like they can't tell them. So who's going to tell them anything? So they move about freely. So at the end of the day, I'm going to expect women to act like women. I think it's my responsibility as a man to have female expectations amongst women. That's my job. Why would I let a woman be around me and not be feminine and act like it's okay? That's not my job as a man. If for me to do that, I got to roll back my masculinity. Why wouldn't I expect you to be a woman? You're a woman, ain't you? So I think that's my proper place. I'm putting expectations on women, no matter what woman is in front of me. Period. I don't care about your culture. I can understand something different if you do actually come from a different culture and say, like the first time I almost touched a woman and their culture says they're not supposed to touch my hand. I was getting a bag of food from a woman. She dropped it. But somebody explained to me, no, that's their culture, man. You almost touched her hand when you was grabbing the food. Cool, I let stuff like that slide because that's not her being offensive to me. Now, at first, I thought she was trying to be on some offensive stuff, but no, she just actually comes from a different culture where we don't touch them and they don't touch us. So I can respect a person's culture. What I cannot respect is you not being feminine. See, how you are feminine can be varied amongst different cultures, but I do expect you to be feminine, period. You're
And
just going to be
Roger, the
feminine in the
reason
culture
why
way that fits you. Go ahead.
the reason why black men can travel and be successful is because we are masculine men and we do masculine jobs. The reason why black women cannot travel and be successful is because they are not feminine as much as the local women are. So they cannot do what the men are looking for overseas because they are not as feminine as they are not more women than the women they have. We can be the men that they are looking for overseas because men just have to be men. But women in America or women in the West don't have to be feminine. They can survive in this society without being feminine. And over there, those women cannot really survive as much as we as women here.
Well,
So they
well,
are more feminine, and because they have to be, and culture says they have to be, and their family says they have to be, and we have to be men. So we go over there and we fit into the men category of what men's supposed to do: protect and provide.
yeah. And I want men to free themselves that you got to start making all these different adjustments because women aren't feminine. You don't need to make any adjustments. If I'm getting in the car, I'm going toward the driver's seat. Okay. I told y'all before, I actually rode in the car with a woman one time. It felt so disturbing. Like that disturbed my soul that we went somewhere and we took her car. It's just so much about that I'm not going to go into right now. And I just did not feel like that was a masculine place to be. We both had vehicles, but we took her car. Boy, that felt terrible. Okay. I ain't did it since. I doubt I would ever do it. I think I would literally have to be, I mean, real talk, something had to be physically wrong with me for me to be with a woman and we don't take my car and I don't drive. If something's not physically wrong with me, it's never going to happen. And that's real talk. It felt that bad being in the passenger seat. I don't even know how men do it. You know, and that's real talk. I don't even know how men do it because that one ride was terrible for me, and going back to the car was another. So I had two terrible rides, y'all. It was just disturbing. So I definitely would never volunteer to do that ever again. And that's just real talk because I just don't see that as in the place of a man. I don't see that as a man taking control. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here trying to be nice. No, that's where nice go too far. Okay, I am the man. I should be in charge of things. If my woman doesn't want me in charge, why is she my woman? See, men got to free themselves. Expect black women to be feminine. I understand they're not, but do it anyway. Make them uncomfortable. If they're uncomfortable because they're required to be feminine amongst black men, then they should just be uncomfortable. Why is that an issue for you as a man to make them uncomfortable? And I'm saying this because we are taught to make women comfortable on a regular basis. So it's going to go against a lot of what our training is. Our training is make women happy no matter what. That's the average black man's training. My thing is if she's uncomfortable with being feminine, she shouldn't be happy. That shouldn't be a goal. Real talk. Why would you be comfortable as a woman not being feminine? You know, and if Jessica, if you still listening, hey, sister, I do love you and I do appreciate you for coming. So I don't ever want you to feel unwelcome. Just because I personally don't like you, don't mean you're not welcome, and don't mean that you're not important to me. You are important to me, and that's real talk. You're a very important person to me because if you keep coming, I see it as you trying to get it right. I don't know if you'll ever get it right, but you showing up says that you may try to get it right. Okay, and real talk. It's so much truth said over here. Even if you don't like it, you keep coming back because you keep popping up here and there. Okay, so that's a good sign to me about what's going on in your subconscious that you're trying to fight. You know this where the real at, so you do need to be here. So keep on coming at the end of the day. All right. Now, y'all, being feminine, I'm gonna say is hard because there is some work involved. If you exercise, that's work. Feminine women like to look good because men like to look at feminine women. There's work involved. A lot of women have pushed that you can rest in your femininity, which is a lazy mindset and women talking nonsense. You cannot be restful and feminine on a regular basis. Everybody can rest sometime, but you can't be feminine and not be working. And women saying, well, I want to get to this place where I got a man and he's taking care of me. And, well, what about cooking and cleaning? People keep talking about that. Well, we should have maids and butlers doing all that type of stuff. What's your purpose? You got to have a purpose at the end of the day. If I get a maid and get a butler and take away your purpose from you, because if you're not working, then if you're not working outside the home, then your purpose got to be working inside the home. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to say that you can live in the home and not have a job, which is fine, then why would I bring somebody else in to do what you're supposed to be doing in the house? So now you ain't working, you ain't bringing no income into the house, which I don't even care about personally, but you're not going to be a benefit to me while you live in my house. Yeah, I was taught as a child that don't even make sense. I was a child with chores. Why? Because I was going to be an adult one day and I got to know how to take care of myself. Plus, I'm supposed to have an understanding that if I'm in someone else's home, I should benefit them in some kind of way. Because you never know when you're going to have to be in somebody else's home. You know, now I'm pretty sure most of us listening right now got nice jobs, nice businesses. You know, you're in the military. You know, your life is good from a financial standpoint. But if you ever get into a situation where you got to be in somebody else's home, you should know how to operate inside of someone else's home. And if you have to be there for a while, they should still see you as some level of benefit. You know, if you lose your job and you got to go sit in somebody's home for 6 months, they shouldn't be mad that you're there. There should be a benefit, some kind of way. Okay, some kind of way. But I'm a pause here, y'all, because like I said, we passed that 3-hour mark. I gotta remember what we said earlier, because I may make that tomorrow's show. I forgot what we was talking about, but I'm gonna ask backstage. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. It's been wonderful. Shout out to Officer Faulkner. I see you in the building. Woo! But we wrapping it up, y'all. It's been great. Well, matter of fact, let me do this. Are there any last statements that somebody wants to make? I'm gonna go across the way the screen order is. Tunnel runner. Any last statement you want to make?
Hey, Roger, I got my wife working hard, so she's taking care of business.
No placeholder was here for the he here for the after show. So so I'm not skipping him, but he came up for the after show. I accidentally brought him on the panel, but he came for the after show. Shakara, don't beat me. Any last statement you want to make? Okay, going once, going twice. I'm assuming you stepped away to the bathroom or something, so we're gonna keep it pushing. Easy for Barack, hard for Michelle. Any last statement?
Good night, Jessica.
Hey, I love you, Jessica. I love you.
Because all the Jessicas
around. Okay, Jado, any last statement you want to get in?
No, thanks for having me up. Like, comment, subscribe, share the content. That's all I got, bro.
Okay, and let me also say, shout out to Red Talk Anna. I hope you subscribe to the channel, and I really do hope you go back and listen to the replay. I know you said you would, but if you joining us sometime would be good for some of the guys. Don't worry about who Jessica is right now. Don't worry. Don't worry about who Jessica is right now. She's just a young lady that I don't like. We've had multiple interactions with each other, but I do have some hope for the future. You know, I just don't personally like Jessica, but she's always welcome, and I'm gonna try to make sure she understands that she is welcome. Because I don't want her to be on somewhere. Since he don't like me, I don't want to go there. It ain't about being liked at the end of the day. Black women got to get over being liked sometime. They got to get over being liked. And maybe you'll join us in the future. And I'm just saying that because your name is Red Talk Anna. So that says some type of potential there. There's something that possibly is there with a name like that. Perfect time. Any last statements you want to make?
Good night, Lisa.
Shout out to all the Lisas out there. Santana, any last statement you want to make? Santana, you muted. Santana going once? Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'll see y'all in the after show.
Okay. And we got my main man, Shark Sims. Any last statement you want to make? I'm going to assume he went to the bathroom in a second. Shark going once? Shark going twice. He in the bathroom, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.